right, so here we are with, my name's Mike Haro, and today we're going to interview my parents, Nony and Sergio Haro. Today's date is November 9th, 2022. I had to think about that for a second. So we're going to interview you guys today, and to start, we have a very special video that you're going to watch right there on that monitor. Remember that picture, Mom?
Oh, that's a beautiful picture.
There you are.
Oh, the first time we met, for the first time.
Well, hi there.
Hello.
I am Jane, otherwise known as Janie, and I am the oldest of the Dorsey children. I was born in 1931 to George and Betty Dorsey. And Nony, one of my younger sisters, to whom this is being dedicated, was born in 1943. Now, I was one of the big kids, and Nony was one of the little kids. However, now, this is February of 2022, now, Nony has gray hair like I do, and all of the siblings have gray hair like I do. So we're all the big kids now. So what I remember about Nony was she had this friend Lenny, and she and Lenny had the best time together. And that she would run over to Lenny's house and hang out with Lenny at Lenny's house. Usually Lenny didn't hang out at the Dorsey family house. They hung out at Lenny's house. That was Nony's other family, which I think was great for Nony as a little kid. When I got married, I was 19 and Nony was 7. And I remember Nony at that wedding. But I don't remember a lot about her youth because I wasn't living at the Dorsey family house anymore.
Hi, my name is Chloe. I am number 13 in the family, and today is January 26th, 2022. I'm here to talk about my beautiful sister Nony, my kind older sister, who used to make oatmeal for us when we were kids. She, probably, and Heidi would make the oatmeal, and certainly Bibi and Rosie made oatmeal, but she was always there to help us out. She was kind with her car. She loaned her big green Buick to us when she left for New York. She always likes to try to figure out an efficient way of doing things. What is the quickest way and most efficient to get something done, even if it's just chopping onions? She is a lovely girl. She's got beautiful blue eyes. Sergio was enamored of her eyes when they were courting her, the Los Ojos Azules. Nony likes to take trips, and she likes to go on the open road, and she's always ready for a laugh and a joke. Nobody can quite smile like Nony and laugh like Nony. She is a gem. When it was time for our mom to go to another kind of living situation, Nony stepped right in and took our mom in, and always said it was a privilege. I am so grateful to have Nony for a sister. She is lovely and kind, and just love her beautiful big smile. Love you, Nony.
Hi there. This is Bibi Dorsey Stroik, and today is February the 1st, 2022. It gives me great pleasure as one of Nony's older siblings to speak of this dear, dear sister that came into our lives when I was probably about 8 years old, and she was born after we had when we had moved into the Crum Creek house outside of Media, PA. She was born in 1943. And it was such a blessing for little Nony to come into our lives. And to tell you the truth, as one of her big sisters, you know, she was just a cheerleader of sorts, if you could say. One of the interesting things about Nony I want to share with you, because my mom has written some lovely things about Nony in her autobiography, but one of the dear things that she intrigued us all with is she gave our sister Heidi, who was just a couple years younger than her, the nickname of Heidi Hoders. So one of the interesting things is that when we moved to Lima, and that's when Nony named her little sister Heidi Hoders, she would love to play with little Heidi, and they would have a lot of fun together. So one of the interesting things is that Nony found out about how Daddy and Mommy had a box of chocolates in their bedroom next to the bed. So Nony would sneak into the bedroom and she would take a piece of candy for Hoders and take one for herself. And that gives you a sense of how sweet and thoughtful and kind she was to her little sister Heidi. So even though Nony was in the middle of the family of 13 kids, she didn't take a lot to herself. She shared freely, and she always remembered other people in the family, their birthdays. So she had a great openness to all the other kids in the family. And she would often do a little card, a birthday card. She'd sometimes give something of her own, and she thought it was important to give a little gift. She did this effortlessly, like she really enjoyed doing it, and she loved giving pleasure to others. It always seemed to Mama Betty that Nony had a happy heart.
Go. Okay, hi there, Nony. This is your brother George. I remember fondly seeing you and Lynn Ryder dancing at our home there in Lima. You're doing the jitterbug and stuff. You guys were a great bunch together. And I remember fondly all the nice hospitality that you and Sergio gave to me and also to Jeffrey and then to Toby when we were out there in California. Jeff was in the Marine Corps out there. Toby was going to law school out there, and I had business trips out there. I remember fondly coming to the weddings of Conrad and of Michael. I think Lorraine might have been with me for at least one of those. And I remember, I want to thank you for the good work you did on the contributing to the Dorsey clan reunion in Oxnard, California that we had. It was really good. And I want to thank you and Sergio. You came to Emily's wedding out here in Massachusetts. And but especially I remember fondly the very good care that you gave, loving care you gave to Mama Betty in the final weeks of her life out there. I remember I made a business trip, made a trip out there and visited with her. It turns out it was 2 weeks before she died, and I visited you at your house and with Mama Betty, and it was really precious, the care that you gave her there. We wish you many years of happiness with all your family, and we send you our love, and we wish you lots of happiness and with all your wonderful family. We wish you the best. Love you with all my heart.
Hey, Nony. It's your little brother, Mike, number 11, though you're number 1 in my book. You're so awesome a sister. You've done so many wonderful things for us. Growing up, there were the big kids, and then there was the little kids. You had made it to the big kids, and making it to the big time, you had keys to the car. This was awesome. Whenever we needed to go anywhere, Ethna, Chloe, I, or Pinsy would say, hey, let's go get Nony. And you were the superest person. You took us to the shore. You took us on the ferry ride across the Delaware River. You packed lunches for us in shoe boxes. You were fantastic. You are fantastic. And I can't ever thank you enough for being such a wonderful gal. You got me my first job at the Longhorn Ranch. I was a dishwasher. I was a busboy. I got to wear a cowboy hat, a string tie, and a vest. I mean, I felt like John Wayne or Bob Mitchum, one of them dudes. Gary Cooper. Thanks to you, I learned how the importance of work, the importance of work ethic. You were working at Gulf and Western. I remember you going into work every day there. You were awesome in every possible way. I can't thank you enough. I'm trying to remember other wonderful things about you. There are too many to remember them all. But the main thing was you saved our butts so many times, left and right, north and south. And you are a wonderful sister. And you got wonderful kids, wonderful family, wonderful, you're just a doll. Living, breathing, walking, talking. So hopefully this is a little memento from number 11 to number 1 in my book. I love you.
Hi. Hello, everybody. I'm Pinsy, and we're celebrating our sister Nony, who I also often call Natska. Anyway, today is January 29, 2022. So Natska, or Honore, is my big sister. I'm number 10. She is number 8. She's 5 years older than me. And I remember as a little girl being very excited going to first grade because I knew my big sister Nony would be there. And she was in 6th grade. So that was a big thing for me. And it was wonderful that I had that sense of security that my big sister was there. Although Heidi was there too. But I just put her aside. I just thought Nony's the important one here. Okay, so I just want to touch on some times in my life where Nony has been very important. So in the fall of 1968, I had a college apprenticeship. Nony was living with Elaine in New York City, and she let me come and live with her so I could be an apprentice at a New York City theater called the Equity Theater, and that was in the fall of 1968, and that was very loving and generous of her. And then we have a wedding in 1970 where Rich and I got married in August 8th. So I have a picture. And this is a picture of the unmarried siblings. You'll see Nony and Heidi, Mike, Chloe, and Ethna. Not in that order. All right, so that's a famous moment where my lovely unmarried siblings were gathered and celebrating at the wedding. And then in 1976, a very important thing happened. We were expecting a baby. We thought it was one baby. It turned out it was 2 babies in there. And I was told by my doctor I would need help because I needed to be on full bed rest. And I had 2 little children already. I had Matt and Becky. So I prayed about it and I thought about it and I thought, well, let me ask my sister Nony, who was living in Guadalajara at the time with little Conrad. And Nony said yes. And she came and she helped me. She was a wonderful help. As it turned out, I went into early labor, which was very scary. And the doctor was very concerned and he said I had to be in the hospital. So thankfully, Nony was there. She helped with the care of Becky and Matthew, and she gave Richard some wonderful Mexican meals, which he has appreciated since that day. So that was a beautiful help that she gave us. I have another picture coming up in a minute, but first I'll talk about in April 2000, Nony flew here to help me with Mama Betty. Mama Betty was visiting us, and she came, and we celebrated Nony's birthday. And then Nony flew back to California with Mama Betty, and that was in 2000. And it was that same year there was a reunion in Cape Cod, and Mama Betty also went into a assisted living that same year. But what's fun about the reunion time, which was in the summer, is after that reunion, Nony and I went on a road trip. We drove up to Maine, and we had a lovely time, just the 2 of us. So those are 2 things from then. And then we jump to Connor and Yoshi's wedding, which we attended in January. I think it was 2016. I'm not sure. And here we are with Chloe and Nony and Sergio attending the wedding. So that was a fun time that we had. And then in 2020, we had a surprise birthday party that Nony planned,
for Debbie. We got it all together. We met March the 14th in Jacksonville at a motel. Debbie knew nothing about this. And here is a picture of three of the girls. And you will see Chloe and Bibi and Nony there as we're planning on the big surprise the next day. So that was in 2020, March. And then I have another picture because this past summer of 2021, I met with Nony at the Houston airport and we attended a wedding. Some of our other siblings came too, of Bibi's grandson Giovanni and his lovely lady Leah. And that was June 12th. So here's a picture with Nony and Debbie. So I just want to add to this, Nony's very important in my life. And I thought she did a wonderful thing when she took Mom into her home right towards the end of Mom's life and took care of her. So I want to thank her for that. So much love, Nony. Bye.
Hi, Noni. Today is January 30th, 2022. You know whose birthday it is? Pinsy. Pinsy's birthday. So anyhow, I'm calling you because this is a fun thing to do, just to say hi. I love you. And remember that you're 8 and I'm 9 in the Dorsey line? You knew me from a long time ago. And I'm still here. Anyhow, I wanted to tell you something funny. Do you remember when you were little and I was littler? I always hung around with you guys, like you and Lenny and you and Taffy. I was like that tag-along kid, but you weren't always nice to me, Nony. Now, we did have a couple battle royals over the bedroom, because we had the same bedroom. I slept in the same bed, and we had little fights on who's making the bed. Your side, my side. It was not nice, but we survived, right now? So I'm looking forward to seeing you again. I'm thinking about that trip to Debbie's trip we're going to do at the seashore, of her seashore, her Atlantic side. Anyhow, but another thing I thought about the other day was back when we were teenagers, Sandy Carezzi, I don't know if we dropped her off. You were driving. It was snowy. And the car got stuck on one of those back roads back there where she lived, over there by Lima. And we got stuck, and a man came along, and he said, well, you better just leave the car here, because it's too stuck. And he went away. And you said, we're getting out of here. And you got us out of here. It was a black and white Ford, the Ford Fairlane. So you were great, now. You've always been great. Matter of fact, you were always much braver than I was, because we used to have a dentist at 69th Street, and we would have to go to the dentist, and you would go in 5th grade. But I couldn't go until I was in 8th grade. So you've always been much more brave. You're braver than I am. Anyhow, I wanted you to know some good things, and I was so happy when you came to my house in Fairlawn when little Andriana was going to be born in 1984. You came in August, and you came to help me out with your little boy, that little cute little boy you had, little Kana Addo. And you helped me, and you know what you did? I went to the hospital, and you trained Sophia. You potty trained her for me. So when I got home from the hospital, she was all potty trained. 3 days? Pretty amazing. So I just want to let you know that that's something I really appreciate. And I know Sophia, she did too, although she didn't know about it. We'll have to tell her when we get to heaven, huh? Anyhow, we just want you to know that that you've been really a great kid. And I remember that trip to Sequoia you took me on with Sergio. I rode the horse. Yeah, the horse that went away. I said, Mister, help. But I love Sequoia, so thanks for taking me there. So I'm just looking forward to whenever we get together again. And you've been a great sister, and you still are a great sister. And I can't wait to see you. So I'm sending you love and prayers, and we'll talk. Okay, honey. Love you.
You give me a signal when I start. Are you going to give me 1, 2, 3? What are you going to give me? Just one? One? One's all right. You tell me. Hello. Today is February the 15th, 2022. It's a good number. And Dave Dorsey's my name, also known as Uncle Dave. I'm the number 2 in the clan, chain of the clan. And my memories of Nony are skimpy because I wasn't home a lot of the time. But I love Nony, and she was always good to me and good to my children. There were times when we had different chores, as you may remember, at Lima, certainly. You may remember the chores at Lima. And the big chores were the outside chores. The boys took care of that. And all the girls took care of the inside chores, the cleaning and preparing the meals and setting the table and keeping the children who were younger under control. So somebody was usually appointed the bishop, and Nony was a good bishop when it was her turn to be the bishop. Now the bishop is somebody that takes care of the youngest child in the chain. So for a while, Nony was the youngest child in the chain. And the older sisters took good care of Nony, taught her things, helped her mature, and helped her be gracious. And Nony was very gracious. There were many times when, as an adult, when my children were there, and we were there because the family welcomed us when I was sent to Southeast Asia all by myself. And Mary Ellen was there, and the 4 of my Dorsey family was there. And all the family was helpful, especially Mama Betty, to teach Mary Ellen many things about children, raising households, cooking meals. And there was one special occasion when I visited home. I forget when this was, but I know it was winter, and it was cold. And Mary Ellen wanted to visit the Gibbons family, which lived about 3 miles away in Elwyn. And I asked Nony if I could borrow her car. At that time, she had a big green Dodge, and this was a tank. It was huge, and it was comfortable. But it was in the middle of winter, and I didn't have my own car for some reason. So off we went, Mary Ellen and I, to visit the Gibbonses. And it was a snowy night, and it was snow on the ground. And when I was driving the car and came to the Gibbons' house, it was slippery, and I turned into their driveway and hit something, which dinged the car a little bit. It was this Nony's car, and she had loaned it to me, and I was very grateful that I could have transportation to get Mary Ellen over to see the Gibbonses. But there she was, a little bit of a ding. It didn't interfere with driving, and when I brought it home and told Nony about it, she was very gracious and forgave me whatever damage it was. She never made a mention of it again. I was very glad about that. And there were times when Mary Ellen and the 4 kids were there, and Nony was helpful to Mary Ellen. Mary Ellen was very helpful to the family as well. She did a lot of the care of our mother, who needed some attention and help. She didn't drive. Mary Ellen had her car, and she took care of the needs of the family, transporting various sisters and brothers to different places. And they were all going to high school about that time. Nony was probably in 1966, probably 22 years old. And now after that tour of Southeast Asia was over and I came home, I was home for about a month. And then we moved to Washington, D.C. And we loved it there too. I don't have many memories of Nony, unfortunately, because somebody else was being the bishop, and I didn't get the job of being the bishop of Nony, but it would have been fun. Now, my children, who spent a year there in the care of the family, they had a lot of fun, and they were very appreciative and enthralled, actually, is a better word. They were enthralled with Nony, who, when she went on dates, all dressed up. They admired her preparations and her gorgeous. They referred to her as being gorgeous, and she was. I didn't get to meet many of Nony's dates. That was always unavailable to me. But anyway, the kids remember Nony getting ready for her dates for different people. She had a lot of boyfriends. That I know. Though I only met one named Bumper or something like that, or Bubba. I very happy to be part of the family, happy to be the big brother. God bless you, Nony.
Hi guys, Pete Dorsey here. I'm trying to share some memories at Dad's request about Aunt Nony. Going back to the days when we lived at Lima. Two different occasions. So this would probably be the second occasion I have the most memories of, which is I think around the year 1966. So first of all, it was a wonderful world living at Lima. There were so many people, so many interesting things happening, people coming and going. So this is all part of a wonderful world that we were able to share, and I'm very grateful for those memories. They're really great. So in my mind, Aunt Nony was far and away the most glamorous of all the Dorsey girls. She seemed to be the one that looked most like a movie star and had a movie star quality about her. And when you think about the 60s, you think about people like Marilyn Monroe. So that's kind of how I thought of Aunt Nony. She knew how to do makeup. She wore lipstick, and we often caught her in various stages of preparation for that glamorous life that we believe that she led. So she did have, as far as we could tell, a lot of boyfriends, and she would be going out on dates and getting ready for dates. And so that contributed to our feelings. She had a big light green car. And this was also part of the mystique of Aunt Nony, because she was always going places in that green car, although she was willing to share that car with other people, other members of the family, including, I know, Dad on at least one occasion. So there were a couple other really interesting things about Aunt Nony. So there was a little closet in between the dining room and that first parlor. It was kind of right at the bottom of that set of back stairs. And in that closet, Nony had a set of what I considered a real bow and arrow. So it was in its original box, and I recall the arrows had those sort of razor edged points to them, so they could be used for hunting. They were just not target arrows. And I don't recall Aunt Nony ever using that set, when I was there, but it sort of contributed to this impression that I had that she lived a very exciting life. Now, famous, at least for our little Dave Dorsey clan, up on that front third floor, there were two bedrooms, and the one on the right had a lipstick impression of a kiss right outside the door frame. And I always thought that Aunt Nony must have been the person, who delivered that kiss. Now, subsequently, I found out it probably wasn't Aunt Nony, but it sort of coincided with my image of her as this glamorous person with a lot of love interests. Now, one thing I'm going to have to say about Aunt Nony, and I don't mean any disrespect for anyone else, but when we little Dorseys were running around there in Lima, we must have been a real pain, pain in the what. And as a result, some of the Dorsey sisters, would sort of correct us and straighten us out, tell us when we were misbehaving and so forth. But that did not describe Aunt Nony. Aunt Nony was always kind to us, always interested in what we had to say, but never judgmental or disapproving. And that's one reason why, possibly why my memory of Aunt Nony, are so positive. She sort of treated us as equals, and we were just part of the clan for her. And she seemed to be as interested in us as we were fascinated by her. God bless and love to everyone.
And I want to thank you, Nony, for starting the big surprise 80th birthday for me. I had no idea this was in the works. And one day, when it was my birthday weekend, I heard a knock on my front door. And I went to look at it, and oh my goodness, there you were, Nony. And then the Heidi showed up, and Phoebe showed up, and Chloe showed up. And did I forget someone? Finzi showed up. And we had a wonderful, wonderful time. But if it wasn't for your great thoughts and your caring kindness and reaching out to me as I turned the big 80. And we did celebrate that weekend with some great times, and I'm very grateful for that. And over the years, we've seen each other at weddings and at family reunions, and they've been all blessing. And I wish you a Happy New Year, Nony, and I wish you Godspeed. Love you, your sister Debbie.
Hola. A ver, anécdotas con el tío Sergio. Te voy a platicar uno. Yo me acuerdo cuando venimos la primera vez a visitarlo, creo que tenía 8 o 9 años. Entonces me acuerdo que él regresaba de trabajar, pues ya cansado, él regresaba en la noche y llegaba a la casa y pues bueno, primero llegaba a saludar a Nony y entonces él llegaba y le decía, Lobby, ya llegué y bueno, generalmente pues quería su vasito de agua con hielos. Entonces me acuerdo que cuando él estaba esperando a lo mejor a que Noni se lo hiciera o algo, pues venía y se sentaba a platicar con nosotros. Y me acuerdo mucho que él venía conmigo y me decía, mija, dame masaje de bola, ¿no? Lo cual significaba que quería que le hiciera un masaje en los ojos. Am, y aparte, pues bueno, ya yo me acuerdo, pues ya le daba su masaje de bola y pues como que ya, ¿no? Y él como, no más, ándale, ahora dame en el otro ojo masaje de bola. Y luego, terminando eso, se acostaba en el piso y también me decía, mija, camíname en la espalda. Y pues bueno, en aquel tiempo pues estaba yo hecho un palo, estaba flaca y pues no pesaba. Entonces yo creo que el masajito que le daba caminándole en la espalda le sabía bastante rico. Am, Otra anécdota pequeñito que tengo nada más, y yo creo que es mi favorito de Su Majestad, es ahora de adulto que la historia que me cuenta de su amigo salvadoreño. ¿De dónde es tu amigo, tío? Che, país. Patada, ¿verdad? Bueno, te quiero, Su Majestad.
Hola, tío Sergio. ¿Cómo me acuerdo? Bueno, pues un día yo crecí, un día yo sabía que existía un tío que teníamos en Estados Unidos, se había casado con una americana y tenías toda su familia para allá. Y siempre cuando venías eras muy agradable y nos platicabas y nos decías de tu mexicanidad allá en los Estados Unidos. Eso es lo que yo más acuerdo. Siempre has sido empático, siempre has sido amable, siempre con quien conoces haces rápida amistad y presumirte como tío siempre ha sido un placer. Qué bueno que en los Estados Unidos lograste tener una familia que te quiere y junto con la tía Nony, pues saber que tenemos allá familia, saber que tenemos sangre de nuestra sangre en los Estados Unidos. Siempre el hijo que se había ido a la Unión Americana. Y mira, fuiste el pilar de quienes están allá del otro lado. Y ahora nosotros te vemos a lo lejos como una persona de bien, una persona que está ahora ya con nietos, cosa que nos da mucho gusto y que sabes lo que quieres. Tío, te queremos.
Hola, bueno, me pidieron que contara una anécdota con mi tío Sergio. Bueno, tuve muchísimas, ¿no? O sea, sería muy largo. Ya ven que no me gusta hablar. Bueno, pues esta anécdota es muy importante para mí porque me acuerdo cuando recién nos conocimos y me dio la oportunidad de estar en su casa y me abrió las puertas y desde el primer momento me trató como un miembro más de la familia. Y sobre todo me dio muchísimo apoyo siempre. Ese fue la persona que me dio mucho encourage para que se podían hacer las cosas. Y muchas cosas que él a lo mejor no lo sabe, pero si yo siempre le eché muchas ganas a todo lo que estoy haciendo, es porque siempre me echó muchas porras él. Y él me dijo que él creía en mí. Y para mí fue muy importante. Y me acuerdo que una ocasión me acompañó a cargar unos carros a una de las subastas y yo tenía poco tiempo de realmente de subir carros, ¿no? Y yo decía entre mí que no me vaya a quedar mal, que no vaya a quedar mal, que se me caiga el carro aquí, ¿no? Y bueno, lo subimos el carro y me decía, ¿cómo lo haces? Y yo decía, pues no me digas cómo, porque tampoco yo sé cómo, pero lo hacía. Y como eso fueron muchos, pero lo más importante que está en mi corazón es de todo el apoyo que me dio y sobre todo las porras. Y eso es muy valioso para mí y lo tengo en mi memoria siempre y tratando de ser un mejor ser humano, como lo es él. Bueno, hasta luego.
Hola hermano, quiero que recordemos algunas vivencias de cuando éramos chicos. Bueno, la primera que me acuerdo es cuando yo te dije, oye hermano, préstame uno de tus patines. Y tú me dijiste, no, los dos o ninguno. Y te dije, pero es que yo no sé andar en patines y me da miedo. Si quieres los dos, si no, no. Bueno, está bien, pues préstamelos. Entonces me pusiste los patines y te dije, ¿y ahora qué hago? Me dijiste, te voy a dar un empujoncito y entonces tú ya empiezas a patinar sola. Si quieres cualquier cosa, ya yo te ayudo. Y te dije, está bien. Y entonces, ¿qué hiciste? Ese empujoncito que me diste me llevó hasta tirarme de pompas, me caí de pompas, ¿verdad? Y tú muerto de la risa. Pero en eso salió mi mamá. ¿Y qué cosa le hiciste a tu hermana? Y no es que pues la estoy enseñando a patinar. Pero y entonces ya mi mamá se metió y ya me dijiste, perdóname, hermanita. Bueno, ya pasó. La segunda es que un día traías una botella en la mano, ¿verdad? Me dice, ¿sabes qué es esto? Te dije, no, ¿qué es? Es alcohol. ¿Quieres olerlo? Bueno, entonces me lo acercaste y yo, ¿verdad? Lo olí. ¿Y entonces qué pasó? Pues resulta que era amoníaco y entonces me desmayé. Y entonces sí, ¿qué pasó? ¡Ah! Hermanito, ahora sí, ¿verdad? Te asustaste. Pero después te estabas muriendo de la risa, ¿verdad? Bueno, esos son algunos de los detalles que creo que recordamos, pero quiero decirte que es bonito y nos da risa. Bueno, ahora con el tiempo, que estamos ya grandes y todo, creo que cada vez estamos más tiempo juntos. Todo el tiempo que yo llevo de vivir aquí, pues hemos tenido una convivencia que cada vez nos une más y más y creo que nos damos apoyo mutuamente. Siempre que yo te necesito, tú estás ahí para ayudarme, pero creo que esto es recíproco y que también cuando tú me necesitas, yo siempre estoy para ti. Te quiero mucho y espero que esto te haga sonreír un poquito y que sea divertido para todos, ¿ok? Te mando un beso y te quiero. Bye.
Hola tío, te mando un caluroso saludo y un abrazo muy fuerte. Quiero agradecerte por ser parte de mi familia y tengo muchos recuerdos tuyos tan bonitos y sobre todo siempre te has expresado muy bien de mis padres. Quiero darte las gracias por todo, porque cuando los recuerdas hasta te pones melancólico, cosa que me entristece y a la vez me alegra porque sé el cariño que les tenías a cada uno de ellos. Tío, ahora también me siento muy contenta, muy orgullosa porque eres parte de Ferrocarriles de México, de la cual soy partícipe de
Vagones de
ti,
México.
porque soy la generala de allí, la que dice quién entra ya también y quién no. Tío, te mando un fuerte abrazo, te amo, cuídate mucho, bendiciones para ti y para toda tu familia.
Hola, tío. Pues un recuerdo bonito que tengo tuyo es que siempre creo que has sido servicial. Y me gusta mucho cómo ayudaste a mis papás cuando fueron allá a tu casa, el día que fuimos, que nos llevaste al Panteón a ver las esculturas, que nos llevaste allá a conocer Las Vegas. Y pues cuando has venido aquí a la casa y que vamos a comernos un caldito de gallina que le gustaban mucho a mi papá y que yo sé que a ti también te gustan. Y pues quiero agradecerte por ser mi tío. Me dicen mucho que me parezco a ti. Siempre que voy a algún lado, por ejemplo, Marina siempre me dice, ay, dice, te pareces mucho a tu tío Sergio. Y bueno, pues somos familia y pues un saludo muy grande, tío. Y quiero decirte que pues que acá tienes tu casa y que en especial te quiero
Gracias,
mucho.
yo también te quiero.
Hasta luego, tío.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Hola tío, pues un saludo desde acá y es una buena oportunidad para decirte que te quiero mucho y que te agradezco mucho todos los detalles siempre lindos que has tenido conmigo y con mi familia. Muchas gracias pues por todas las cosas que has hecho a nuestro favor, como las veces que hemos ido para allá y siempre has sido bien amable con nosotros, en ir por nosotros al aeropuerto, llevarnos por allá a pasear, a conocer. Recuerdo, creo que fue la última vez que estuvimos allá, que nos llevaste a ver las casas alumbradas o decoradas de Navidad. Y bueno, esas cosas para mí son muy valiosas, que hayas dado de tu tiempo con mucho cariño, porque así lo siento y te lo agradezco mucho. Quiero decirte que te quiero, que siento tu cariño también y que aquí tienes tu casa y que te mando un fuerte abrazo. Muchas gracias por todo.
Gracias,
Te
yo
quiero.
también te quiero.
Bye.
Gracias.
Hola tío, ¿cómo estás? Hola tío, ¿cómo estás? Pues digo, aquí recordando algunos momentos que pasamos juntos y de lo que más recuerdo es cuando preparaste la entraña y por primera vez la probé y la verdad es que fue muy, muy rico. Obviamente extraño esos momentos, ojalá y pronto podamos volver a probar esa entraña que haces juntos y es una de las cosas que generalmente pienso en ti cuando veo ese tipo de detalles que tuviste con nosotros al prepararlo. Te mando un fuerte abrazo, tío, que estés muy bien.
Oh, mira, Nony. Oh, this is beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
It is wonderful. Thank you.
What do you think?
Oh my goodness.
Wow,
Oh,
bravo, bravo,
muchas
Michael.
gracias
That
por
was
To get all those people together.
Muchas
Dang,
gracias,
how
muchas
did
gracias
you
por
do
poner todo
it?
esto junto. La verdad que es
Oh my goodness.
es un trabajo
I can't
tremendo.
imagine.
Las personas que nos dijeron cosas tan hermosas, tan bonitas y sentir el amor de toda la familia, tanto para la familia de Nony, la familia americana y la
Yeah.
familia mexicana. Y pues aquí estamos y pues con la bendición de Dios y pues seguiremos adelante. Y a ti, mi hijo Michael, que tú sabes que te adoro, te quiero muchísimo, igual que a tu hermano. Y realmente es una bendición que hemos llegado hasta este punto en nuestras vidas y que es un regalo de Dios, de la única forma que puedo explicarlo.
Did you remember those stories from your sisters?
I
Remember some of
did.
them?
I did remember them, and yeah, pretty much all of them. And they just poured it all out. Amazing.
So it turns out that you actually came up with the name Heidi Hoders.
That's right.
I didn't
That's
know
right.
that.
It wasn't Daddy George.
Yes.
It was Nony.
Yes, Daddy Horse. Yes, that's right.
Huh.
So we're gonna kind of move into some simple questions and just different things. And if you don't remember, it's okay. Just do the best you
You
can.
get to send copies of that to my siblings?
Nobody gets a copy, Mom. Nobody. Of course. Yeah. Well, everybody will get a copy. So just gonna start with something simple. Okay. So you remember?
Merry Christmas, Uncle Sergio. It's a crazy day out here in Hawaii. It's looking really pretty. Anyways, hope you have a great day. One thing that I remember as a little kid is when you told me to figure out the problem to this story. The story was this guy walked into a hotel and he didn't have enough, and I needed to figure out where the extra money was coming from. Another thing, though, that I really remember and value as a little kid is when you and your brother would tell me these like funny magic tricks or these funny stories, and I thought that was really cool because it always had me wondering about, you know, what was like the answer to the problem. In college, that's how a lot of things are. You always have to figure out, oh, what's the answer to this problem, or how is a situation going to be getting better off of a solution. But anyways, hope you have a good day.
Hola compadre, espero que estés bien. Antes que nada les quiero dar las gracias a ti y a Nony porque si no hubiera sido por ustedes, no estaríamos aquí. Quién sabe qué eso hubiera sido de nuestras vidas. Y han sido unas experiencias que hemos vivido con ustedes bastante bonitas. Empezando por que viviendo con ustedes allá en Lima, Pensilvania, en la casa de mamá Betty. Me recuerdo que tú y yo durante los veranos, cuando ya se estaba oscureciendo, que es la hora que empezaban a salir los vampiros, nos salíamos a jugar badminton y ahí aventábamos el gallito lo más lejos hacia arriba que se pudiera y se dejaban venir los vampiros y a veces tú y yo nos teníamos que agachar para que no nos pegaran. Qué experiencias, compadre. Y luego durante las nevadas, que teníamos que salir a limpiar hasta para salir a la calle. Y ya después cuando nos cambiamos para acá, compadre, y también otra vez gracias por habernos hospedado en tu casa por 6 meses. Y ya años después que empezamos a hacer la tradición de las bicicletas en el Día de Acción de Gracias. Y luego ya nos veíamos a tu casa para cenar, pero antes de cenar nos íbamos a caminar a las montañas con todos los muchachos, a poner unas botellas de vidrio y los muchachos se disfrutaban rompiéndolas con piedras. Y muchas otras anécdotas, compadre, que un día que nos juntemos podamos ahora sí que volver a revivirlas. Ok, compadre, tú sabes que te aprecio mucho, te quiero mucho y espero que disfrutes este video. Hasta la vista, baby. Nony, I hope you're doing well. First of all, I want to thank you and Sergio because if it wasn't for you guys, none of us would be here. Bottom line. And I'm grateful for many, many things that you have done for us. When we were living back east, I remember when you helped us get enrolled in school to be able to learn English. That I will never forget. And so many other nice experiences that we living in Mama Betty's house. And then when we moved here in California, that you received us in your house for 6 months. And one thing that I will never forget, because without having insurance, you helped us get medical attention for Jenny when she got sick with her hernia. And we ended up at the City of Hope, and we didn't have to pay a penny. And so many other things that I'm grateful for that you have done for us, Nony. And I hope we can get together soon so that we can rehash all these experiences and laugh about them. Okay, Nony. Hasta la vista, Nony.
Hello, Uncle Sergio. This is Jenny. I'm so happy I get this opportunity to tell you how much I love you. I do have a lot of memories growing up, and I'm just so grateful that you have been so loving and so kind. And one major memory that I remember growing up was when we would come over to your house for entraña. And by the time all the entraña was done, we barely had any left because it was always probadita, 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 ven acá, ven acá. And we finished all the entraña before everyone could sit down because it was all gone with our probaditas. I really do love all the times we got to spend together, and hopefully there will be many more to come. I love you very much, and I hope you enjoy this video. Bye. Hello, Aunt Nony. It's Jenny. I can say so many amazing things about you. First of all, you are one wonderful, beautiful, loving, kind-hearted little soul. I always have loved you so much, and I have always cherished the memories that we've had at your house. There were so many. And I know this little memory might sound silly, but I remember every time we were at your house, before we left home to go home, you would give us a slice of bread. It wasn't wheat bread, it wasn't white, it wasn't sourdough, it was always rye. You'd go into your pantry, you'd open a loaf of bread, and you would give it to us, and off we went home. I don't know why, that was the first thing that came to mind, and I just appreciate every time you shared that bread with me. I know there's so many other memories I could talk about, but that one is just something that resonates in my mind. I love you, I send you a big hug, and hopefully we'll have more memories soon. Bye.
Sergio, let me start off by saying thank you once again, because you're the reason we are all here. You are the reason for this, and I wouldn't want to have it any other way. I love this country, and it's thanks to you, and I know I've thanked you before, but I can never thank you enough, to be honest with you. When it comes to memories, I think the memory that I want to talk about is one that we probably never talked about before. It was something from 30 years ago when the Haros and the Torices went to the Joshua Tree National Park. And I was about 13 or 14, and I decided to start climbing the rocks. And I got to a point that was really, really high up and super dangerous, but felt like it was in control until my foot slipped and I had to hold on literally for dear life. My dad was far away and you were kind of in the distance, and I was just yelling, help, help, help. Well, what you did is you dropped whatever you were doing and you ran towards my direction and you kept yelling, hold on, hold on, hold on. And you finally got to a point, you climbed, and you got to a point where you could extend your arm all the way up, and I was able to put my foot on your hand so you could support me, and we somehow made it down. So I want to say thank you, because you probably not only saved a couple broken legs and some broken bones,
you probably saved my life. So I want to really say thank you for that. That's a memory that to me was impactful, one of the scariest moments of my life. So with that said, Uncle Sergio, I got to end this the only way possible. Gio's going to watch me. Here we go. Ready? This is the only way to end this video. I love you, Uncle Sergio. I will always be your niño adulto.
Señor Sergio Antonio Haro Negrete, mejor conocido como tío Sergio, y aparte de eso, mi padrino. Tío, me tomo la oportunidad ahorita en este momento de darte las gracias por muchos detalles que has tenido para conmigo. Tengo muchas memorias contigo, desde los cholos y jumping, pirañas, jumping, todo eso. Te agradezco demasiado el tiempo que te tomaste en darme consejos, aunque a veces sí te desesperabas. Bueno, casi siempre. Pero, tío, anécdotas tuyas tengo demasiadas. Me acuerdo de una, no sé si recuerdes, íbamos en bicicleta mi tía Nony, tú y yo por querer manejar con las manos cruzadas, no sé si te acuerdes, pum, para abajo, me caí. Luego cuando nos fuimos a Sequoia, a Yosemite, que me salía a caminar en la nieve, andábamos para arriba y para abajo, los tacos, las comidas que nos aventábamos. Tío, te agradezco mucho, tengo muchos y muy bonitos recuerdos tuyos. Tuve la oportunidad, y te lo agradezco de todo corazón, de poder haber llegado a tu casa. Gracias a ti y a mi tía Nony, me aceptaron, no solamente como sobrino, sino como parte de tu familia, con mis primos, y tú y mi tía. No sé, hay muchas cosas que quiero agradecer, muchos detalles, memorias, recuerdos, tus viajes que te gustan, que te fascinan, salir, tus chinchulines, tu entraña, la entraña esa especial, unos toques, unos cortes y un pedacito y rico. Tío, un abrazote, un beso, te quiero mucho, tío padrino. Aunque nunca me dices un domingo, Nunca me dices mi domingo, tío. Pero estoy muy agradecido contigo. Un abrazote y seguimos en contacto. Espero que pronto nos podamos ver. Gracias, tío. Te quiero mucho. Bye.
Tío Sergio, ¿cómo estás? Soy Luis Armando, o Armandito, como dice toda la familia. Solo quería mandarte este video, pues en agradecimiento por lo bueno que tú has sido conmigo. Tengo muy buenas memorias. Una de las memorias que más me llegan a la mente es cuando nos subimos al turibús, ¿te acuerdas? Tú y yo, que viniste aquí a la Ciudad de México. Y luego terminamos comiendo en un restaurante japonés. Nos la pasamos padrísimo, tío Sergio. Y también, ¿sabes cuándo? Que hicimos una carne asada en mi casa. Y estaba ahí mi tío Memo con su esposa y cantaron una canción y lloraron. Estuvo muy bonito, ¿te acuerdas de esa experiencia? Espero que te acuerdes. No olvides que te quiero mucho, tío. Dios te bendiga. Hey, Nony, how are you? This is Armandito. I am a little bit dirty because I am at my workshop right now. I'm doing furniture in my house, my new home. I hope you can come visit soon at some point. I'm doing this video because it came to my mind. One time you helped me so bad. I was in your house, stay asleep. Well, I actually didn't sleep. I had to turn in a portfolio for my master degrees, and I needed to print my portfolio and binder it. And I remember I needed a ride to Office Depot, and you gave me a ride to Office Depot, and that was something I will never forget because you helped me. You know, you saved my butt at the time. I also remember we made this prayer in La Quinta. Do you remember that? That I made this prayer in La Quinta, and you were there, and you were so happy that I made this prayer because I was actually repeating some Bible verse, a very nice Bible verse. Anyways, Tia Nony, don't forget that I love you. God bless you, and I hope I can see you soon someday. Okay, come and visit my house at some point. All right, I love you. Take care.
Hi, Aunt Nony and Uncle Sergio. It is your nephew Stephen. I am actually standing here in Liverpool in front of the childhood home of Paul McCartney, which you can see here. It actually has nothing to do with this video other than the fact that Mikey texted me as I was standing right here, and I said, you know what more unique spot to do it than in front of where one of the Beatles grew up. Just wanted to take a second to let you guys know that I love you both and share a couple of memories that I have. Speaking of childhood, actually, one of the funniest moments I have of my Aunt Nony is, of course, well, I guess not of course, because you'd have to be there, but we were all in the living room, and all the cousins, Mikey, Conrad, my brother, Jenny, and I'm not sure who else was there, but Aunt Nony walked into the kitchen and asked Mikey, do you want me to cut the cheese for you? Which, of course, she had no idea what that meant, but to all of us kids meant, literally, would you like me to fart? So it was unintended, but it was hilarious. It was so innocent of Aunt Nony, like most of the things that she does are. And we all could not stop laughing, and she had no idea what she had just said. One of the other memories that I have of Aunt Nony isn't necessarily funny, even though we kind of made it a sort of ongoing joke, is the game Stagecoach that she introduced into our family gatherings, which as kids was probably one of the most boring games that we played. But because it was so unique and different, and because Aunt Nony brought it in, we had a lot of fun with it, and we made the most out of it. So definitely something that I will always remember, and something that to this day we still joke about, 20 years later. Uncle Sergio, I have a ton of memories. One of the ones that comes to mind the most is going to La Quinta, which is a tradition that we've had since I was 6 months old, and doing a tour de albercas, which means a tour of the pools, which the La Quinta Resort is notoriously known for having, I believe, 42 pools. So just walking around with Uncle Sergio, having him lead the charge, us jumping into every single pool at the entire resort, which took who knows how long, was something that I'll never forget. And to this day, still going to La Quinta, I think about it every single time that I'm there. And Uncle Sergio just helping himself to whatever apples are at the La Quinta Resort front desk. So walking in with no apples, and then Uncle Sergio walking out with like a bag of like 20 apples is probably the most Uncle Sergio thing you could do. But it's why I love you. It's why I love you guys. And you guys are a big part of my childhood. And honestly, me standing in front of Paul McCartney's childhood home, which initially had no connection to this video, actually makes me think, obviously about my childhood, and maybe there is a subtle connection there. Anyway, I love you both. I will always love you guys. You will always have a special place in my heart, and I'm so happy I was just able to watch the Super Bowl with you guys at my new house. Love you both. Goodbye from Liverpool, England, and from Paul McCartney's childhood home. Bye, guys.
Hello, Dr. Sergio. Hello, Nana Nony. Chablis cuarto and Chablis cinco. We love you. Mwah!
Hola, mi nombre es Jacqueline Haro, soy esposa de Mikey, hijo de Nony y de Sergio. Tengo 11 años de conocer a Nony y a Sergio, 10 de vivir aquí en los Estados Unidos. Pudiera contarles infinitas historias, memorias que tengo con ambos, pero quisiera mencionarles unas cuantas. Empezando con Sergio, recuerdo que la primera vez que yo lo conocí fue en la Quinta. En la Quinta, cuando uno llega por primera vez, te hacen el recorrido de las piscinas. y Sergio fue lo primero que hizo conmigo. Junto con Mikey recorrimos las piscinas y recuerdo que me hizo sentir muy bienvenida, me hizo sentir en familia de inmediato. Para ser la primera vez que yo conocí a mi suegro, hizo que me tirara a una piscina profunda cuando yo no sé nadar al 100%, pero me hizo sentir cómoda, me hizo sentir en familia, me hizo sentir que podía confiar en él, y eso es un carisma y una cualidad que él tiene, que te hace sentir bienvenida a su familia. Sergio, usted es una persona muy generosa. Gracias por ser generoso tanto conmigo como mi propia familia de sangre. Siempre que ellos vienen a visitarme, usted los abraza y los recibe con mucho amor, con mucho cariño, y los hace sentir en familia, a pesar que no nos vemos con ellos a diario porque viven en otro país. Recuerdos con Nony. Un recuerdo muy importante que tengo con usted, Nony, fue el nacimiento de Noah. Usted estuvo presente junto con mi mamá, nuestra primera vez siendo papás, viendo nacer a Noah. Gracias por permitirnos estar ahí, porque eso significa mucho para mí. Y en la actualidad creo que momentos que siempre voy a recordar con usted es cuando estamos solas, cuando platicamos, cuando usted viene a acompañarnos a nuestra casa por una semana o por unos cuantos días, y nosotras dos pasamos aquí solas junto con los niños, pero podemos compartir, puedo yo conocerla según su anécdota de la juventud, de su niñez, y me gusta mucho. Así que le agradezco el permitirme yo cuidarla, atenderla, el traerla aquí a la casa, el permitirle a los niños tener a su abuelita junto con ellos. Noah, Mía, la aman mucho. Mía se derrite por usted. Gracias a los dos por el amor, por el apoyo incondicional que me han dado a mí, por tratarme como una hija, por hacerme sentir como su hija desde el primer momento. Y le pido a Dios de que sigamos creando más memorias, todos en familia, y los amo mucho.
Hello, Nana Nony. Hello, Tata Sergio. We love you.
Hi, I'm Michael Haro, but my family calls me Mikey. I'm the youngest son of Nony and Sergio Haro. I want to start off by thanking everyone that participated and shared their amazing stories and awesome memories of my parents. You know, what can I say about my parents? There's not enough. Growing up with them, they really gave us everything they had. You know, we didn't have the biggest house. We didn't have the most expensive cars. I mean, we didn't get cable till I was about 18 years old. But you know what we did have? A lot of memories. They would save up their money to take us on these amazing trips. Conrad and I got to experience things that we would never get to experience because of them. And I thank you for that. You know, there's not enough words that I could say about my parents, except how much they loved and continue to love, not just myself and Conrad, but our wives and our children. This picture is really special to me because it's my goal to have my children and their children and their children's children to keep this photo in their homes. You will always be a part of us. This is not goodbye. This is see you later. And we will continue to pray for you and think of you and love you and know that we will be together again. I really hope this inspires you to make a video of your grandparents, of your parents, of someone you love, and tell them how much you love them while they're still here. Because one day we will all look back on this video and be grateful we did. Mom, Pop, thank you. I love you. You're the best. I will always keep you in my heart. I will always think of you and share the memories and the laughs I created with the both of you. I love you. So it's again, I'm going to repeat the date because in case we don't forgot, it was November 9th, 2022, and we just watched the video of all your sisters, your brothers, your sister. What did you think of the video that you just saw? What do you think, Mom, about seeing all your sisters?
It was fabulous.
They're going to see all this, so you can talk to them. And
oh my goodness, it's incredible.
do you remember a lot of those stories? Or?
Yeah, most of them.
I thought the one that I liked a lot was that you potty trained Sophia in 3 days.
Yes.
It took me and Jackie like a month
Oh.
to potty train
The
Noah.
magic trick,
So I think that was really fun to see.
That was fun.
How'd that make you feel seeing all of them and all those stories that they shared?
Well, I was wonderful. We felt wonderful because I'd forgotten a lot of that. I mean, I couldn't tell you that I did that. I couldn't even remember that.
And also how Peter Dorsey talked about how he compared you to Marilyn Monroe.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's very
That's
nice.
a very good comparison.
Yes,
Yes, I
I
have to tell
remember.
him.
It brings back nice memories because he did like me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
yes,
most
absolutely.
glamorous.
Yes. When he said that, I said that, yeah, that's why I married her.
Yeah, I know, I heard that.
So,
What did you think about Pop, all the, from your side, the family?
my side, my family is very interesting because that way I met Nony, it was something very unusual because when I was a kid, for some reason, you know, in Mexico we no tenemos muchas personas de ojos azules. Y a mí cuando los descubrí por primera vez en personas, vecinos, alguien que tenía muy poca gente, ojos azules, me impresionaron mucho esos colores. Y decía, un día voy a casar con una persona que tenga ojos azules. Y un día voy a casar con una persona que tenga ojos azules. Entonces fue una parte que me llevó hasta el presente y que tu mamá tiene ojos azules. Entonces fue una experiencia muy especial y cuando la conocí, va a ser un poquito rápidamente como cuando la conozco y resulta que yo tengo un pequeño diploma, no es un certificado grande de universidad, pero tengo un pequeño diploma de mercadotecnia y publicidad. Y ese diploma, trabajé para una compañía que nos dio como regalo un viaje a Acapulco, que es un resort en México. Y cuando fui para allá, eran 4 amigos y yo, éramos 5 personas. Y resulta que llegamos al hotel, nos pagaron todo, el hotel, comidas, todo estaba pagado. Entonces fuimos, por cierto, que fue la primera vez en mi vida que hice un vuelo en avión, nunca había volado en avión, fue la primera vez. Y cuando llegamos allá, nos cambiamos, nos llevaron al hotel y fuimos a la playa. Ya en la playa había una cuerda que estaba anclada en la arena y corría hacia un poco, unos 50, 60 metros adentro del mar y flotaba en una balsa. Entonces los muchachos que venían caminando me dijeron que había 3 chicas en esa balsa. Entonces en esa balsa dice, ¿por qué no vamos y las conocemos? Había 3 chicas, le digo, ¿y cómo van a ir? Porque ellos no sabían nadar, pero yo sí sabía nadar. Entonces digo, bueno, déjame ir, y me dice, pues por la cuerda nos vamos agarrando y hacemos eso. Y resulta que vamos por la cuerda, digo, déjame probar yo primero, si no está muy hondo podemos hacerlo, pero si está hondo es peligroso. Entonces me meto al agua, llego a un poquito más, más de la mitad de la cuerda, pero traté de sentir si había piso, y no, ya estaba hondo, ya no se podía tocar piso. Entonces les dije que no podían ir porque estaba peligroso. Entonces volteé a ver la playa y volteé a ver dónde estaba la balsa y estaba un poquito más cerca de la balsa y decidí ir a la balsa. Llegué a la balsa, tenía una escalerita, me subí y estaban tomando sol 3 mujeres y había una tenían gafas para el sol.
I didn't speak Spanish.
Yo no hablaba inglés, conocía algunas palabras, sabía decir teacher y chicken, yellow y blackboard y pencil y cosas así, palabras, pero no podía poner oraciones juntas, sentences no podía construir, algunas cositas. Entonces, cuando veo a Nony por primera vez y se quita las gafas del sol, le veo sus ojos azules y le digo que le quería decir que si estaba disfrutando el sol y le digo, tú, good, son, en lugar de decir sun, dice son, good, y ya entendió le dice con las manos. Y dijo, oh sí, que estaba muy a gusto con el sol. Total, de ahí ya mis amigos que estaban desesperados porque estaba ya mucho tiempo ahí, nos regresamos a la playa, Nony se tiró de la balsa al mar y yo también, y nos sentíamos pues jóvenes y con mucha energía, llegamos a la playa, entonces ella me dijo que en la playa tenía unas amigas con las que había venido que hablaban español y se podían traducir un poquito. Llegamos ahí, llegamos al hotel donde estaba ella también puesta, y hay una foto que salió en el video, que habían pasado más o menos una media hora el día que la conocí por primera vez. No sé quién tomó esa fotografía, la encontraron mis hijos, tal vez tú o Conrad o tú, y entonces me la pusieron, es la que cargo siempre en mi teléfono, esa fotografía fue 30 minutos después de que la conocí por primera vez. Ese mismo día hicimos un viaje en la bahía de Acapulco y en una ocasión fuimos en un yate, como un pequeño paseo, y había mucho ruido por la música, en fin. Entonces la saqué un poquito había mucho ruido y llegamos a un lugar que estaba un poquito más callado y pasó un muchacho y le dije yo que si él sabía hablar inglés. Y dice, bueno, no sé mucho, pero lo bastante. Dice, bueno, tú dile a esta muchacha que un día va a ser mi esposa. Y dice, ¿eso qué es lo que le digo? Sí, tú dile que un día ella va a ser mi esposa. Entonces se voltea y le dice este muchacho que un día tú vas a ser su esposa. Y lo que pasa es que ella se ríe porque se me acaba de conocer y cómo va a ser su esposa. Y me acaba apenas de conocer, no teníamos ni siquiera 24 horas. Digo, un día va a ser mi esposa. Y bueno, de ahí pasan aproximadamente 2 años. La vine a ver, me vino a ver, empecé a aprender un poco más de inglés. Ella empezó a aprender más español también. Nos escribíamos y muchas cosas. Y pasaron muchas cosas en las cartas que todavía las tengo, por cierto. Las tengo en un baúl pequeño que siempre las guardé. Entonces ahí están muchos de los recuerdos del primer encuentro. Cuando finalmente me caso con ella, pasan muchas otras cosas y empiezo a llevarla a México a conocer a mi familia. Y mi familia completa se enamoró de ella. Les cayó tan bien, le pareció una cosa tan fabulosa a esta chica, que era Nony, y estuvieron muy contentos. Y en otro viaje que hizo vino con su mamá, y la llevé a ver las pirámides de Teotihuacán, cosas de México, y entonces, pero mi familia enamorados de Nony. Finalmente me caso con ella y estamos aquí.
Yeah, and he went ahead of the questions, but that's okay. So I'm going to start off with that. Bob, we're going to get back to that story, but we're just going to start with some simple questions, and if you don't know the answer, it's okay. Just do the best you can. But when's your birthday and what year were you born?
4/2/43.
Okay, Pop?
Ya, yo nací el junio 14 de 1947.
47. And I want to know, in order, the names of your brothers and sisters, Mom.
The names of my brothers and sisters?
Yeah, in order.
Janie, David, Rosie, Bebe, George, Barbara, Deborah, Nony, Heidi, Binzi, Michael, Ethna, Chloe.
All right. And Pop, in your order?
Yo tengo 7 hermanos en total, y empiezo con mi hermana María, mi hermano Samuel, mi hermana Carmen, mi hermana Teresa, mi hermano Jorge Guillermo, que le decíamos Memo en ese tiempo, pero finalmente lo llamamos Jorge todo el tiempo. Después de Jorge sigo yo, que soy Sergio, y después mi hermana, que es más chica que yo, 3 años atrás de mí, y mi hermana Rebeca.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember what year and your mother and father were born? Do you remember? I have the answer if you don't remember.
I don't remember.
Okay. So Mama Betty was actually born on January 5th, 1911. Okay. And Daddy George was born September 22nd of 1908.
Okay.
And then, Pop, for you, do you remember Mama Carmen and Papa Angel? Remember their birthdays when they were born?
Me lo acabo de aprender.
He just wrote it down in the car.
Okay. Me los dices tú,
Yeah.
tienes la información.
So Mama Carmen was born June 2nd, 1906.
Okay.
And Papa Angel was born September 4th, 1907.
Okay.
Okay. So there, now you have the answers. Okay, I'm going to ask you at the end of the interview. I'm just kidding. Tell me something, a memory that you have, Mom, of Mama Betty and Daddy George. And they could be separate occasions, but just something that you remember of, a really good memory you have of Mama Betty. You remember anything that you could, from any time?
No, I right off the bat, but she was always loving and kind.
Mm-hmm.
Always loving and kind, and she was a wonderful mother.
Yeah. What about Daddy George? Do you remember anything about Daddy George?
I remember Daddy George. He was the man in the family, and I remember one time I got him mad, and I started to run away from him, and he started following me, and his pants were falling down because he was taking his belt off, gonna swat me in the back of the legs. He didn't hit us with his hand or anything, but he wasn't afraid to use the belt a little bit on the back of the legs.
Yeah, I remember Mama Betty. She's the sweetest, nicest person I've ever met. Right? Everybody loved Mama Betty, no matter what. She was always so kind and loving, and she was just such a great grandmother.
And she loved everybody.
She loved everybody. She loved
did.
everybody, and everyone always has great memories of Mama Betty.
Yes.
And she had 13 children. It's amazing. Pop, do you remember something from your mom and dad? You can say it in English too. You can go back and forth.
Okay.
But do you remember something of special about your mom specifically, and your dad? You know, I know you talked a lot about Mama Carmen, her cooking and all the stuff that she made, but what's something that you remember?
Bueno, mis padres realmente tuvieron, creo que un matrimonio contento, felices. Mi padre siempre fue un buen padre, mi madre también. Mi madre eran los tiempos en que el hombre trabajaba y la mujer por lo general llevaba a los hijos para adelante, y era la que se encargaba pues de todo realmente, la cocina, el mercado, atendernos, la escuela, en fin, todas las cosas que las mujeres hacían porque no trabajaban realmente. Los hombres son los que trabajaban siempre. Y tuve la fortuna de que mi padre podría proveer para nosotros. No éramos ricos ni mucho menos, pero gracias a Dios nunca nos faltó nada. Teníamos alimento, teníamos escuela, teníamos vestidos, teníamos zapatos, teníamos todo. Y en una situación muy especial. Y me recuerdo mucho que a mi padre le gustaba mucho cuando se llegaban el tiempo de Navidad y fechas como esas. En México se les celebra el día de los Reyes, que es el 6 de enero. Entonces, cuando se dan regalos a los niños. Y entonces recuerdo que mi padre muchas veces decía que pusiéramos nuestros zapatos, se acostaban por un zapato con algo que tú querías, y a veces los Santos Reyes nos lo traían y a veces no, porque a veces no se podía. Y yo tuve la fortuna de que muchas de las cosas que llegué a pedir, casi la mayoría de las veces siempre me lo trajeron. Y mi madre siempre se portó muy muy amable. Y una cosa muy importante que quiero que todos conozcan es que en mi casa, bueno, en la casa de toda mi familia, resulta que mi padre y mi madre, yo nunca escuché a mi padre, nunca en mi vida lo vi ni borracho, ni decir malas palabras. Que las sabía decir, es como todo mundo sabíamos las malas palabras y todo, pero en mi casa nunca escuchaban malas palabras, ni tampoco nunca en mi vida lo vi borracho. Sin embargo, tenía botellas cuando llegaban visitas y les invitaba un whisky o un tequilita, lo que fuera, pero realmente no era de tomar. Y la fortuna conmigo, creo que también, yo creo que heredé de él que no tampoco tomo. Tal vez me tomo una copita, una cosa para celebrar con una reunión, pero nada pesado, nada que sea alcohólico, ni mucho menos.
But is there something, I guess I want to ask you, is there something specific that you remember, a memory of your father? Something he told you, or something he did, or something that you really remember about him? There's like a specific memory.
Like when you said, should I marry Nony? What did he say to you?
Yeah, there's like a specific, just kind of short, something that you remember.
Bueno, ahorita que mamá menciona eso, claro, hay cosas de más de niño que realmente no las tengo muy claras, pues han pasado muchos años, pero por ejemplo, me gustaban mucho los chocolates y sabía que cuando se acercaba mi tiempo de mi cumpleaños y todo, me compraban únicamente para mí solito mi bolsa de chocolates. Y estaba muy alegre. Y en el tiempo de Navidad, que le gustaba hacer muchas cosas, compraba muchas cosas para la casa. Íbamos a una tienda que era muy conocida en México y compraba galletas y chocolates y muchas cosas para la casa.
What about Mama Carmen though? Is there something about Mama Carmen that you remember that she did, or maybe a meal? Maybe there was a meal that she made, just something that you remember.
Sí, había algunas cosas que mi mamá cocinaba en el aspecto cocina, y si algunas veces alguien hacía una cosa similar en alguna otra casa, nunca me sabían tan buenas como las de mi madre. Siempre hacía cosas, creo yo, que muy especiales.
Yeah.
Me enseñó algunas cositas que no aprendí realmente tanto, pero algunas cositas que me recuerdo de ella y siempre recuerdo su cariño porque siempre fue una buena madre.
Yeah, she was always very kind. Do you have maybe a favorite memory when you were a kid, Mom? Like something that when you were young, that you remember younger, that you really enjoyed?
A memory that I enjoyed?
Yeah, something that you remember as a child that you really enjoyed doing, or
Let's see, what did I enjoy doing?
I'll tell you one. I'll give you an answer.
Okay.
Do you remember? I remember you told me you like to go to Lenny's house. Lenny's
Oh,
Lenny's
yeah,
house, right?
Lenny's house.
Because she had a TV.
Yeah.
And what would you watch on the TV?
I liked the cowboy, the Lone Ranger.
The Lone Ranger, yeah. And remember, I remember you telling me that she said, Nony, you just want to come over to my house so you can watch the TV. And you said, no, I don't. But you really wanted to watch the TV.
Yes, because I didn't have TV.
Yeah, you didn't have TV.
We didn't have TV till my father got sick with cancer. And he had a throat cancer problem. And he wanted to watch the World Series, the Phillies.
The Phillies.
Yeah, and we got a little TV, a little 13-inch TV.
And did the Phillies win?
I think they might have that year.
We'll just say they did.
Yeah.
Pop, what about you? A memory that you had as a kid that you remember, you know?
Bueno, me gustaba, para empezar, me gustaba mucho ir a la escuela. Y resultó algo un poquito diferente a los otros niños. Yo tenía más o menos, mejor dicho, tenía 5 años y medio y en México admiten a los niños el primer grado cuando tienes la edad de 6 años. Y mis amiguitos iban a la escuela, todos los que yo me juntaba en el vecindario donde yo vivía. Y pues yo me quedaba solo y mi mamá decía pues, que no tenía con quién jugar. Entonces mi mamá me llevó a la escuela y le dijo a la maestra que si me podía admitir en la escuela porque no tenía amiguitos y dijo, sí lo puedo admitir, dice, pero le aconsejo, ya va pasado 6 meses y va a faltar muy poquito para terminar el año, pero no creo que vaya a pasar a segundo año. Entonces mi mamá me llevó, pero dice, pues solamente tenemos clases en la tarde. En la tarde quería decir, en la mañana los niños de la mañana iban a las 8 de la mañana y los de la tarde íbamos a la escuela a la 1 de la tarde. Entonces me apuntaron a la 1 de la tarde, entonces a gusto yo podía dormir hasta que yo quisiera en la mañana. Y en la tarde ya me preparaba mi baño y todo eso para que mi mamá me llevara a la escuela. Y resulta que en ese poquito tiempo que faltaba para terminar el primer año, aprendí muchas cosas y la maestra me pasó de año a segundo con todos los demás niños.
Yeah, but I think what I want to get to you, because you go off on tangents, Pop, a lot. I think we all can agree on that. I want to just know a specific memory that you had, and I'll give you an example. I remember you told me you used to play marbles, right?
Okay.
Remember you did the circle and you played the marbles.
Yes.
Or you told me, remember you just told me recently about you would ride the bike with your cousin? Or
yes.
Yeah.
Y, los chicos del vecindario donde yo vivía, pues éramos jovencitos todos y resulta que uno de nuestros amigos, pues, su padre le compró por primera vez una bicicleta. Entonces nadie teníamos bicicleta, pero él sí tenía. Entonces para que todos termináramos la experiencia de dar en bicicleta, nos daba una vuelta alrededor de la manzana de la calle y todos experimentábamos la manzana y lo queríamos mucho porque él que tenía bicicleta y nos daba muchos rides in the bike.
So everyone got to ride the bike.
Right.
I think growing up, was there someone that inspired you the most, Mom? Somebody that you really looked up to, that kind of inspired you as you were growing up?
I got my family member.
It could be
sister,
it could be anybody, someone that just really inspired you as you were, as a child and kind of getting older. Anyone specific that?
I'm thinking that my sister Barbara, she was 2 ahead of me. I looked up to her because she sort of was a beauty queen. And she would dress up in pretty things and put makeup on and go off on dates. And she was a very pleasant girl, very pleasant. And I guess I wanted to be like her when I grew up.
Oh, that's good. That's a nice memory. Pop, what about you? Is there somebody that, keep it short, Pop.
Sí,
take all the time.
Keep it short, okay.
I know someone that just kind of inspired you that you really liked.
Yeah, I was among the friends that I have at the time. One of them, his parents sent him to have some piano classes, and he began to be very good. And he told me a little song that he teach me in the piano. It's the only thing that I know. It's very simple. It's nothing really, very simple. And then now, as a grown up, I said, I should have learned piano.
What was his name?
His name was, tenía un nickname, le decíamos Sundi. Sundi. El primer nombre no me recuerdo en este momento.
Yeah.
Me va a venir después, pero Sundi era el cual le decíamos Sundi.
What's something that you miss, Mom, from back in the days, like the old days? Like, you know, was there something that you really missed that you had a really good memory of that, you know, maybe is no longer is around, or anything that you enjoyed doing? Any kind of memory that you miss about the old days? I mean, like, you used to be able to go to the movies for a quarter, right?
Yeah, I remember ice skating in the winter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I loved going ice skating, and we had to go through the woods to get to this pond, and then it opened up into a big area, and that was a great thing, because we didn't have a lot of kids in the neighborhood, you know, that were my age. We just had one or two, you know, because I lived in country,
Yeah.
in the country. But Lenny and I were hooked up as friends, and it was a real sad time when Lenny left me. She and her father got a job in New York, and they had to move to New York, and that was very sad. And I missed her at going to the lake and skiing.
Yeah, ice skating.
Ice skating.
What about you, Pop? Do you remember something from the old time when you're in Mexico that, you know, that you missed that used to be there when you were younger?
First of all, I want to say, like, probably to put all this thing together that you did, Mikey, for all of us. It's really remarkable. It's really appreciated very much. It's wonderful why you decided to do this particular video for the whole family. And of course, come to my mind a lot of memories that I wish I could have. We could go for days and days and days talking about it. And it will be probably the same thing for everybody with our families, with our sisters, brothers, and children. And it is difficult to really bring all those memories at the same time, because it would take forever to tell them. But at the same time, I think I really think I was very a happy child. Really, I really appreciate very much my parents, my school, my friends, the memories, the laughter, the meals, the places that we were taking, like I go to the park and things like that. And it was also wonderful to remember those things.
Yeah.
If I could go into a lot of details again, it would take forever to say the whole thing.
Yeah,
But
and we don't have forever
But
on this interview.
overall, thank
But
you again.
my dad will go forever.
Thank you again, but I mean, yeah.
Okay.
So this is what I have.
What about, okay, how about this? Was there a family tradition that you had at your house, Mom, that you really enjoyed? Like a family, a tradition that you guys had? Maybe something special during Christmas?
Yeah, Christmas and Thanksgiving were always special.
Was there anything
And
that
birthdays.
you remember specifically, like more people came to the house, or, you know, or anything specific, or just
No,
Christmas?
It's just the joyfulness of those holidays. It was always joyful.
So you didn't have any specific family tradition that you did?
Yeah, we
like,
used to sing a lot. We used to sing carols after dinner. We'd sit there, and my older sisters knew all the words, and we sang all the carols we could. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun, and it was fun when Greg and Jan did that continuous thing of inviting everyone over and singing songs.
Yeah.
Remember at their house in Glendale?
Right. Uh-huh.
And I think it's funny because when me and Jackie were married, I was telling her, oh, we're gonna go to, you know, Greg and Jan's, and they're gonna sing some songs, and she thought, sing some songs? I don't want to go sing some songs. Like, oh, we'll just go. They do it once a year, and you know what? She loved it. She wishes that Greg and Jan, hope you're gonna watch this, that you would have us all over to sing songs during Christmas, because that was really fun. So that was a good tradition that I guess you guys started, and then it kind of passed on to Janie and Janie's kids, and kept that on. Papa, was there a certain tradition that you guys had?
Yeah, some of the things that comes to my mind is like the difference in between the cultures in general. The American culture, the Mexican culture, and living in this country, as you know, all of you know, we are composed of of many different traditions and culture from all over the world. Talk about Italians and French and name an Egyptian, name it. Everybody lives in this country, okay? And of course the traditions are awesome. And there are certain things like you come from the place you came from, or you were born here, and there's certain traditions that are really wonderful. And
But what's your specific tradition? Just for you, not for everyone else.
Traditions, right? For me, also probably the holidays. In Mexico, some of the big ones for me as a kid to remember, it was El Día del Niño, the day for the kid, and it was very nice because we received a lot of this in school, and presents and candies and this and all that stuff, and of course the Christmas and some of the important dates, and in general the whole family weekends used to get together, and it was really fun all the time.
Yeah, I think for me, my favorite, and it's about you guys, but when you started the tradition of Thanksgiving, and the Teresa's family would come over, and we would go on our bike ride. So we would bike from our house, and they would bike from their house, and meet halfway, usually about the golf course.
Right.
And then we'd come back, and I remember, Mom, you'd make turkey, and we'd go on this walk at Eaton Canyon.
Right.
Right? We'd do the
That's
walk at Eaton Canyon, and we'd spend the whole day together.
That's right.
And I loved that. That was my favorite memory of having, them over and being with my cousins. And you guys created that memory, that tradition that can never be repeated, because it was a tradition that you guys created, and it was so much fun. I remember me having so much fun and looking forward to it and just having a great time. But that was a lot of work. You guys put a lot of work into putting that in.
It was.
I know you kind of went over it at the beginning, Pop, but we'll just go through these quick because you kind of already answered it. But when and where did you meet? And what year was it?
Well, I
It's
said
in Acapulco.
I said that in the beginning.
What year was it?
Description. And this is in 1968. In 1968, when I married.
Do you remember, Mom?
69. 1969, because we got married in 1972.
Yeah. Okay, so 69. Okay, Mom, got that?
That's it.
Do you remember where you went on your first date? Like, after the fact that you met in Acapulco, that's that day you met her, but do you remember when you went on your first date when it was just the two of you? After that event in Acapulco. Did you go to, how did that happen?
Yeah, she arranged with Mama Betty to come with her to Mexico City.
Oh, so she came back to Mexico City?
She came back again to Mexico City.
Okay.
And what happened is, she had a place where she was going to stay with her mother. And that day I decided to give her a surprise. So I hired these mariachi guys and music, and when I told her what kind of songs I wanted for her to listen when she was arriving to the place, and she wasn't expecting me to be there because she was going to be taken from the airport to her hotel, the mother. And when she came out, I told the guys, okay, now's the time. And they began to sing and make her dance. Some roses, probably on the first time I had done it because I don't believe very much in that. But anyhow, it's like she was very happy, and we have a great time.
Oh, that's good. Do you remember the name of the church that you got married in?
Yes. That church is still the...
it's in Pasadena?
Yeah, the Pasadena church.
I don't remember the name
I
of
don't
the
either.
church. But that particular...
Is it St. Joseph's?
No, I don't think it's Joseph.
That particular church
right.
is a replica of the original church that is located like a mile away from the Colosseum in Rome.
It's a replica.
Yeah, it is a replica.
Yeah.
And we went to Rome.
Andrews, right? Is it called St. Andrews?
Yeah, maybe it was Andrews. I think that sounds about right.
And that was in August 12th of 1972.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so how about this? I know I kind of talked to you a little bit in the car, but do you have a favorite song, Mom? Was there a favorite song of yours that you had that you remember growing up as a kid, or?
Oh, that I like. Oh, yeah. Before I met him and everything.
Anytime, yeah. Was there a song that you really enjoyed?
There probably was, but I can't remember.
Can't remember. How about you, Pop? Do you remember a song that you liked?
Well, yeah. Some of the funny things that I learned was like I used to like a lot of the American music. I couldn't understand anything, but I really liked the song. Like for instance, like the Platters and some of the big groups in the past. And I loved the music, but I didn't know what they're
talking
were
about.
saying.
What about your favorite song in Spanish? What was your favorite song in Spanish? Do you have a favorite? One that you could hear any time and always enjoy it?
Probably there's a bunch, so then I really can't call them by the
You can only pick
exactly.
one. Only one, Pop.
Oh my goodness, jeez. No, it is difficult for me to pick up one. I don't
How
know.
about this? How about, what's your favorite food, Mom? Do you have a favorite dish?
My favorite?
Yeah.
Spaghetti.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say spaghetti. I knew it. With meatballs?
Well, that's not some meat.
Okay.
Not necessarily a ball, but
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Yeah.
Okay, so now we know.
Spaghetti sauce has meat in it.
Pop, how about you? What's your favorite
Well, I
food
always
dish?
I always have that forbidden food for me, because I like a lot of things that's supposed to be fried and supposed to be very bad for you, but I like fried stuff.
I know you
like
do, Pop.
tacos, I like
We all
this,
know.
I like that, so I like that kind of stuff.
And you also like to put salt on top
and
of the
also
salt.
I like to have
that has salt.
and I have to have a hot sauce accompany everything.
And even if it has salt on the plate, you're going to add more salt to
If
that
needed,
plate.
if needed.
Yeah, which is always needed for you.
Yeah.
That's true. So I'm just kind of going through my notes here.
Boy, this is a super
this is
interview, isn't it?
A really big one here we're going through right here.
Goes on and on.
What's something that you can tell me about your grandparents? Do you have a memory of your grandparents? Anything that you remember specifically about them?
They were grouchy, I'm sorry to
Okay.
say. I had
Okay.
one grandmother on my father's side and a grandfather on my other side. And they were not anything like my parents. They were grouchy.
They were grouchy? Both of them were grouchy?
Yeah,
So
they
skip a
like
generation because they were grouchy, but your parents weren't grouchy.
That's right. They lived with us. So
Yeah, in my case, I didn't have the fortune to meet my grandparents, with the exception of my father's mother. Her name was Ricarda, and we used to call her Ricardita. She was a very religious person, and she made the best chocolate that you can believe it. She can make it
Chocolate
and
drink?
she used to buy the best of the best sweet breads in the bakery.
Pan
And
dulce.
she bought nothing but the best.
That's
So
a
that's a good stuff. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. Do you have a favorite movie, Mom? Do you have a favorite movie that you really liked a lot? From any time, any movie or a movie you enjoyed?
Marlon Brando was my star.
Marlon Brando. Okay, so he was your favorite actor.
Yeah.
So pretty much the movies
So
he
it
did.
was the movie, yeah. I can't remember the name of the movie, though.
Okay. Well, we'll just
Movies.
know Marlon Brando.
I can do something about that. Growing up, my oldest brother Jorge, I used to go with him to the movie theater, and some of the ones that I stay in my mind for a long time. When I saw for the first time Ben-Hur, the movie,
Yeah,
and
Ben-Hur.
it's taken my mind, and of course so many other ones around it, but that's one of the ones that stick in my mind because it was a wonderful movie to my taste.
Okay. Do you, from all the years that you have living, what do you think is the greatest invention since you guys have been alive? And it could be something old. It could be anything you
The
want.
greatest invention. What's the greatest
Do you think
invention?
there's anything that stands out that you're like, wow, when this came out, you're like, wow, that's amazing. It could be anything. It could be anything. I mean,
How about the car?
Okay, it could be the car.
Could be the car,
Or something
yeah.
That kind of like you would thought, wow, this is really amazing. There's cars
yeah.
that can drive.
No more donkey carts.
Yeah.
Have a car
And for me,
with gas.
And for me, probably was a television.
Okay.
But it used to
That's
be
a good
only black and white at the time and small screens. But I thought it was fantastic to see stories and stuff in black and white. And
Yeah,
small
that's
screen.
true. That's right. We
And
didn't.
I thought it was a great invention.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lenny had television. I didn't.
know. You went to Lenny's
yeah.
house. That's something that you did.
Yeah, that's something that I did.
Okay, how about a little fun question? Do you have a memory, or what's the most embarrassing moment of your life? Do you have anything that you remember that was kind of embarrassing?
No, I can't remember anything embarrassing.
No, nothing? Nothing that comes to your mind that was like, oh, that was kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, can't remember.
No?
Embarrassing.
How about you, Pop? Pop, you have a story, I think.
Is there a bathroom here?
Yeah. Okay. You want to take a little break? Okay.
No, I
Pop,
want you to finish.
You answer. Okay, Pop. Do you remember an
Yeah,
embarrassing
I
moment?
have some memory, which is I just briefly talk about it because it's kind of embarrassing because again when I was taken to the school for the first time and I was 5.5 years old and
How'd you go to the bathroom?
how you call when you have the break of the school?
Recess.
Recess.
Yeah, I remember I wanted to go to the bathroom, but I didn't know where the bathroom was, and I really wanted to go number 2, and I didn't know what to do, and well, I let it go because I didn't know how to hold it. So I remember my brother went to pick me up, and we went to the house, and I remember walking very funny because I had all that stuff, and when I got home I began to cry because I was very dirty. And then my mom took me and they gave me a shower and they cleaned me and all that stuff. It was kind of a very embarrassing, but at the same time, because I didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
And then I learned.
Why wasn't your mother telling you about those things?
Well, he did it probably.
She
did,
should
but I
have.
probably was shy in the time. I don't know why.
She was shy.
Do you remember having a favorite toy? Like a favorite toy that when you were younger that you liked to play with, or maybe it was a doll, or was there anything that you remember having that you really liked as a kid?
I can remember one of my first dolls that I really, really liked. It was, I think she could do tears. She could.
Oh, really? That's really.
I'm thinking that.
That's pretty advanced.
Yeah, it is advanced, but there was something about the eyes that were prettier, more modern, more liquidy or something.
Okay.
They were tears, I guess.
How about you, Pop? Do you remember your favorite?
I remember two toys that I always stick in my mind. My patines, my wheel, the
roller skates.
Yeah, they were pretty good, and they like them a lot. And then later on, some of the other kids in the neighborhood, they have this BB rifle, you know, and then I really like it a lot. But I thought it was almost kind of impossible to get it. So, but in my next Christmas, I asked for that particular toy. I didn't want anything else but that toy. And they brought it to me.
Oh, that was good.
And I still have it, by the way. I still have it.
Wow.
And it's just one of those memories where I really remember my father making the effort to please us.
Yeah. Do you remember your first car, Mom? First car you got?
The first car I got.
I mentioned it in the video, but do you remember what
Yeah,
it was?
it was a big car. It was a big chunk of a car. I liked it a lot, and it was a car I was driving, but shortly thereafter I went up to New York and lived in New York and lived and worked there, and I didn't need a car.
Yeah. Do you remember how much that car cost you back then?
No, probably a couple hundred maybe.
Yeah, which is probably a lot.
Yeah.
What about you, Pop?
But my brother Michael took it over and he left it at the beach.
So Uncle Mike, bring back that car. You want to see it? Pop, what about you? You remember your first car?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I really wanted to. I began to, of course, get older, and I really wanted to have a car. But I guess like all of the teenagers want to have a car, and of course not a brand new car. We couldn't afford a brand new car, but it was somebody who was selling a car. It was a Peugeot. I don't know where's that from. It's from Europe, someplace.
Yeah, Peugeot.
And this guy was selling it, and one of my father's friends knew about cars, and he talked to him about it. He said, what do you think would be a good buy, this one? And he said, yeah, it's a good car, and it's very wonderful, well made, and all that. So, but, and I have some savings in that time. So, but I don't have enough to buy the car. So I asked my mother if he could help me to pay the rest, because I didn't have enough. So she says, well, will you pay me back? I said, yes, I will pay you back, which I never did. I never paid her back. But she helped me to buy the car, and I enjoyed it very much. And after that, you know.
How much was the car?
Money-wise, I don't know. But,
roughly, what do you think it
roughly,
cost?
I would say probably was around, I would say probably around $600 maybe total.
Okay, so we're going to move on to some other more deeper questions, right? Because we kind of had some laughs and some things, but now we're going to go a little bit deeper. When did you realize you were no longer a child? Meaning, like, because as you guys were growing up, you had to grow up a lot faster than kids today. So does that make sense? Like, when did you realize you're no longer a child? Like, maybe you had to move out. Mom, you said you remember you had to get a job. Do you remember when you were no longer like a child? You were like more like an adult?
Well, I haven't thought about it, but I think once my father died, I think I woke up to that, and that I was no longer a child.
Okay, and you were 12,
Yeah.
right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so about 12-year-old, you started feeling like that change of being like a child to like having more responsibility. What about you, Pop? Do you remember when you were no longer a child and you became more of a...
I think I was it took me a long time really to know that I wasn't a child anymore, because I was already grown up. Even getting closer to marry your mother, I continue being like a
child.
I haven't grown up really much.
That's
at all
good. That's
at
true.
the time.
That's true.
And
That's
then,
true.
of course, I realized I began to be on my own and to be more responsible and stuff, and begin to change things in my life.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think I was a child for a long time.
Do you have a favorite memory of Conrad? Like something that you remember of Conrad when he was, younger or teenager? Something that you really remember of Conrad? Mom, do you have anything?
I'm
that,
thinking of Conrad.
Or Mom thinks? Do you have one, Pop, of Conrad that you remember?
Well, yeah, Conrad, he was always a good kid, and he was very smart also. Not because he was my son, but I think he was really very good looking. And as a matter of fact, in this video that we're making with you, and thanks to you, Mike, again, right here in the picture that I see here is when we have the four of us, your mom, myself, and your brother and you, which is our whole family. And of course, now you have your own families. But overall, I would say that probably, again, memories is all it is.
Yeah. Do you have anything, Mom, that you remember of Conrad? Like a
Oh,
memory
I
of
just
him?
thought he was.
I'm sorry, interruption. I went to
He does this a lot, so just that's going to be part of the video.
One day I came back from work, and your mother told him that he was going to be my waiter. So I came to the house, and he had a napkin, in the arm, and I sit down in the table, in the dining room table. He said that, we have this and this for dinner.
So he pretended
What
to be a
we like
waiter.
have, yes. And he went to the kitchen, got my plate, brought it back, and I thought it was really beautiful.
How old
stuff.
was Conrad?
He was probably around 8,
Oh, okay.
7 or 8.
So he was like a waiter.
Yes.
Yeah, it was so
Yes.
cute all by himself. He thought
Yes.
that
Yes.
up.
That
Do
was
you remember something, Mom, like a different story of Conrad that you remember, like a memory of him or something he did? And it could be recent. It could
I
be.
remember he was a beautiful child. I remember I really felt grateful for Conrad, and he was smart, and I just thought he was great. Sergio was a little harder on him, and it bothered me a little bit. But
I want to make an addition to that because I wanted him to be kind of straight at the way I thought was the right way to do it, and then I learned that it wasn't the right way. I was kind of strong on him. I never hit him or say bad words to him or anything because I wasn't raised that way myself at all. So I never say bad words or anything like that. But yes, I could treat him better. Okay, and even I asked him one time that, son, if I offended you when you were growing up, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, because I didn't know how to do it right. And when Mikey come around, when you came around, you might have saw like, what do you have different that Mike Conda didn't have? And because I learned, and I remember, holding you when you were a baby, and it just was a really wonderful one. And from that moment on, I began to see my love for you guys were completely equal. But I could have been a better father with Conrad.
Yeah.
But I did my best.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite memory of Michael?
Okay.
Because I'm
Mikey
standing
was
right
always,
here.
he was always fun, and good little kid, and easy, a very easy child.
I wasn't a crybaby.
No, you weren't.
Really?
No, you weren't.
It's good to know. Do you have anything specific, Pop, that you remember?
Yeah,
of me
about
and-
Mikey, yes, and the only thing that was kind of a little scary, like one day we left you with Alejandro. He was even with us, I believe, and you were like probably 3 or 4 years old, and the door was open, and you walk out of the house, and we got to walk on the street, and then Rima's looking for you, Mikey, we got looking everywhere, and she runs out of the house, and you were walking to the like a block and a half from the house. So somebody saw you, and they said, "This kid."
You crossed the big road.
Yeah, and thanks God nothing happened, and we rescued you, and from that moment on, we didn't want to let you go anywhere. We had to be sure that we locked the doors.
Yeah. Do you? Is there? In ways, do you feel your children are like you or not like you? Is there things that you see that Conrad does or I do that you do, or maybe things that we do that you don't do? Anything that you?
I
can
think
call
you
out?
boys are like me. I don't think they're like Sergio. I don't think you're like Sergio, either of you. You're more like me.
Yeah, myself in that respect, yeah, I would say like the two of you are very, very, very generous, and they always, in charge of to know that we are okay. If we need anything, you're always willing to help us, to do something for us, and I think that two of you have a very big hearts, and we are very fortunate to have you as our children.
Was there, do you remember any specific advice that your mom or dad gave you when you were younger? Just in general, any advice that your mom or dad gave you? Mama Betty or Daddy George? Anything that you remember specifically?
Can you remember anything?
Do you remember?
Yes, I remember.
Mama Carmen or Papa
yes,
Angelica?
Of course, we read the example of my
Something
father.
stood out.
He always saying, like, please always be nice to folks. Always say thank you. Whoever help you or do anything, he always just say help you. Keep your smile and be friendly. Don't offend anybody, and work and develop your life. When you have your family, you probably will be happy that you learn these things.
Yeah. Anything from you, Mom, that you remember that Mom Betty told you one time, or gave you some advice, maybe when you were leaving or before you got married, or anything that she left for you?
Yeah, it's not coming into my head right now, but I'm sure there was plenty of it that she would do, and she was very kind and gentle in all her ways, really, and
She's probably just very supportive. Right?
Yeah, I just
of all her kids.
My father too. He was never harsh with me, especially, or I just remember one time when he was going to take his belt off and he wanted to smack me, but that was funny. That was a funny thing, and I just ran away. Never happened again. Never happened again.
Was there a moment that changed your life? That before children, maybe before marriage, like something that happened in your life that really changed it? Like, I mean, leaving home's got to be difficult, right? Because you left home, Mom, and Pop, you left the country. I mean, there's got to be a really big moment.
It was more shocking for him. For me, I was ready. It was to go up to New York and live in New York.
Did that feel like a big change, though, for you?
Yeah,
to know that you were leaving your home, your nest, to go to a whole new state, and you're on your own. Was that very shocking, or did you feel pretty confident?
Yeah, and well, even before that, I went to Columbus, Ohio. I went out with Rosie. She wanted me to come. I don't know, for some reason, take care of her little boy or something, be a babysitter. She invited me to come. Maybe she saw something that I needed to do, but she and Frank invited me to come out, and I lived with them for a while.
Well, I think that's good too, because I think as Connor travels a lot, he's a very good planner. Connor's a very good planner on where he's going to go, where he's going to stay, and I think he got that from you, because I remember being younger that you would always plan all the trips before the internet, before you had anything. You had to make phone calls, and you planned the reunion in Oxnard, and I wish I had that type of talent. I feel like you and Connor are very good at the planning, coordinating, which I think is really good. But Pop, do you remember something that was a big shock for you, a big change? I think leaving Mexico, the one country you were born and raised in, and to go to another country where you didn't know the language, I mean, that's got to be a pretty big change.
Yeah, it was, but my big idea about moving to here, of course, I was going to marry your mother here, and it was a big incentive to move to this country. And of course, it was a little more shocking for me because, it was difficult to really leave everything behind, the place where I was born. My school, my friends, my family, because I was the only one here, had nobody here except your mom. And but little by little, we learned to accommodate to the life and be happy with Mom, and you guys came around, and that was really the beautiful blessing that we got.
I think the biggest thing that makes me stand out is people don't really think about this and realize this, but because of you, Pop, you started really the first one of your entire family to come to the United States.
That's right.
And everyone that's here, all the cousins, all the family, anyone that speaks Spanish is because of you.
That's right.
And I hope people really appreciate that, because their lives wouldn't be what their lives are if you didn't take the risk and you didn't take the chance to leave a country to come. So all these, your nieces, your nephews that have started families and met their spouses and had their kids, and now their kids have their kids, and their kids have gone to college. And I think they really need, I think they do, and I hope they realize that the sacrifice you made for the future, and not just us, but of everyone of your bloodline. So pretty much everyone of your bloodline is here because of you. I think that's a really big, noble thing, because had you never left, who knows if any of them would even be here.
And I've been very fortunate because a lot of the family that lives here now, a lot of them actually have told me that thanks to you, Uncle Sergio, or Uncle Sergio usually, thanks to you we are here. Without you, we wouldn't be here at all.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a very nice compliment. Of course, they develop their lives, and they're happy with new lives and stuff. But a lot of them have been taking me, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think sometimes I look at pictures and videos, and I talk to cousins, and I always, it goes to the back of my head that they're here because of what the choices that their parents made, but their parents made that choice because you were here, and it was a safety zone that they knew that they were able to come to your house and stay with you and mom, and you gave them a place to stay, which I think was to get them started, you opened up your house, which I think was
That's right.
very big of you and nice of you.
That was Mom Betty.
Yeah, and Mom, just like Mom Betty did.
Just like Mom Betty.
Had a lot of people at her house. How would you describe your kids? How would you describe Conrad? Like if someone didn't know Conrad or Michael, how would you describe them? How would you describe your children?
One by one.
How would I describe my children? I would say they were wonderful. They're wonderful and gracious, friendly, warm, very wonderful people that you could trust with your life. You're really going to enjoy them. And that's what happens. People do enjoy you and Conrad very much. They love you and talk about you and ask how you are and all that.
Myself, I think it's very fortunate for your wives. In this case, Jackie, your wife, and Conrad's wife, Jasna. I think they were fortunate that they made you guys, because I think you're wonderful husbands and caring and responsible, and I think they're very lucky, because they come from kind of a different family. They have good families too, and their own. But being married with you and begin to raise your families, it is really a blessing for them to have you as a husband.
Yeah, especially from them not being in their country. It's hard for
I think it's funny. I always tell people that when I was younger, obviously Mom didn't speak any Spanish, and Pop, you spoke when you could. And I remember you telling me, like, it's important to learn Spanish, you're going to need it. And I thought, I don't need to learn Spanish. Like, I'm going to grow older, and I'm going to marry an American, and she's going to speak English, and that's it. Well, little did we know that I would meet a woman from Nicaragua, and she speaks in Spanish pretty much all the time. Yeah. And I'm really glad I learned that Spanish. And now it helps me. Right. But I also think it's good because it's helped me in work and just life and communicating with people, and it's improved because of Jackie, but because of you to pass that on, and I feel more confident in speaking. And Conrad's Spanish is very good.
I kind of regret a little bit because when you began to grow up, your brother and you, because I wanted to improve my English. As a matter of fact, right now I still speak with a very heavy accent, and sometimes I ask folks if they can understand me, and most folks say, yes, I understand you perfectly, but I know I have a heavy accent. But at the same time, I wanted to continue improving my English, so my Spanish towards you was limited. It wasn't as good as supposed to be in the past, but good enough I kind of place the roots of the Spanish language in you. And thanks God that you met these girls from Spanish-speaking countries, and now you're fluent, and I'm very happy because there's a blessing to have that.
What is one of your proudest moments? Do you have a moment that you remember in your life that you were really proud of? And it could be something small or something big, but just something that meant a lot to you that you were proud that you accomplished? Do you have a memory of that?
I should have something or two. But the first time I rode a two-cycle bike, a two-wheeler.
Two-wheeler bike? A bicycle?
Yeah.
Well, that's okay. That's
Yeah,
that's
that
an
was a
accomplishment.
big accomplishment.
How about
And
you,
ice
Bob?
skating, I got ice skating. I did that well.
Down at the pond with Lenny?
Yeah, the Lenny.
Repeat the question.
Oh,
I
the
got
question
lost.
was, what's one of your proudest moments?
Oh.
Something that maybe you achieved that you were really proud of?
I guess some of the very proud is about the school of the two of you, that you accomplished your elementary school, your high school, and your graduation for colleges, and it's a big accomplishment because it takes an effort and it takes a time and sacrifice and many different things, and I was very, very happy and very proud that you guys got a paper that tells the world that you went to college to have a higher education.
Yeah,
And it's just
that
really
was very
wonderful.
good.
It's
Yeah,
a wonderful
very good.
accomplishment.
What's something that you recently learned maybe in the last 10 years or 20 years that you wish you knew earlier? Is there something that you learned that you thought, oh, I wish I knew this earlier, maybe when I was younger, that you know now?
In my case, I would say that I wish I could have really retaken some instrument classes.
Oh.
I never did.
Musical instruments?
Yeah, musical instruments, maybe a piano,
Yeah,
guitar,
I
or
wish I
something.
had too.
Now that I'm a grown up,
Yeah.
I said I should have done that, but I
You
never did.
shoulda.
I never did. It didn't happen.
Shoulda,
so
coulda,
that's it.
woulda.
And also at the same time, we grew up, my brothers and I, without pets, and for me it was to me it's very strange to see folks how much they love their pets, and they really love it like they're part of the family. But in my case, I never learned that, so sometimes I can see the love for those animals, and it's wonderful. I never had the chance.
What about you, Mom? Was there something that you learned recently, maybe 10 years or 20 years, that you wish you knew when you were younger? Anything particular?
Beware of Mexican men.
Beware of Mexican men. Yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. I support that idea. If there was something you could say to your younger self, so knowing what you know now, if you were to meet Nony at 15, is there something that you would tell her? Is there any advice you would give her?
Stay away from Mexican men.
Stay away from Mexican men. Okay, let's stick with that. Was there any advice that you would tell your younger self?
Just seek out your dream and do it. And it may be hard and may be difficult, but just follow your dream, whatever dream you have. Yeah, you can do it.
You can do it. How about you, Pop? Would there anything you would tell younger Sergio if you were to talk to him as a 15-year-old boy?
Yeah, of course. And I would say same thing. Maybe follow your dream. Try to accomplish it. Sometimes it gets very hard, and when it gets that hard, give a little extra effort to accomplish it. Mm-hmm. And when you complete it, you'll be very proud of yourself, and it will make your life much better.
Yeah, and I forgot to ask you guys earlier, but do you remember your first job out when you were married? Like the first job that you had? Do you remember what it was?
Well, I had a job when I was married.
Yeah.
Do you remember what it was, Mom? Your first job?
My very first job?
Yeah, let's go that. Let's do that. Instead of you're married, your very first job.
Oh, my very first job, the first when I went out in the world. Where did I work? Let's see. Where did I work?
An accounting place, is that right?
I went to Columbus, Ohio, but that wasn't my first job. But I did go to Columbus, Ohio, and live with Rosie and Frank and their little boy. And I got a job at the college, and I worked there. But I really wanted to be home in Pennsylvania. And so I was there a year and a half, I think, and then I went back to Pennsylvania and got a job.
How about you, Pop? Do you remember your first job?
Yes, well, yeah, I didn't have a really formal job, but among the friends that I have, I was growing up with them. In those days, there was a time when they wanted you to sell something door by door.
Door to door.
And then I remember that one time with my amigo Guillermo Castellanos, was a very good friend, and he's in heaven now. But I remember one time he invited me because he was selling magazines. And one day he says, he used to call me Flaco because I was very skinny at the time. He said, Flaco, because they sell magazines with me. They could, there's a good commission and stuff, so it's easy to sell them. So he told me about it, and I remember something very funny that happened. I remember that we went to this door in this building, and we knocked on the door, and and the lady came out, and we began to see each other. And we began to laugh. We couldn't say anything. And the lady says, "You kids are crazy." And shut the door on us. And we were laughing and laughing and laughing because we couldn't stop laughing. So it was a good memory. And then after that, of course, we began to sell books and then silverware and name it. That was my first beginning and stuff. And then after that, when I began to grow a little older and stuff, I got a job, and again, I have a little diploma about marketing and advertising. I'm working for this company. It's a company who sent me to Acapulco, where I met your mother. And then when I came here, my English wasn't good enough. It began to improve and not that good. And my first job here was in this very fancy private club in South Pasadena. They were nothing but very rich people.
Do you remember the name of it? The place?
No, I don't remember.
Is it still around, you think?
Yes, I think it's still around.
It's still around, the same club?
I think so. I think it's still around.
Wow, that'd be interesting to go see it.
And actually, that job was given to me because my teacher, English teacher, told me about this place, that she knew the manager of that place. If I wanted to work, he will give me the job. And they did, and I was like a busboy. I was, cleaning and putting the silverware and stuff.
I would really like to go visit that. If it's still around, that's pretty amazing. Do you remember where it's at?
Yes.
If we were to go,
more or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, search it out.
Okay, so kind of switching back, because I forgot to ask you those questions. What was your biggest fear about raising kids? Did you have a big fear about raising kids?
Not at all.
Really?
I had no thought. No, I didn't have any fear.
How about you, Pop?
Yeah, for me,
it's a new beginning. It's a new person.
You know what is nowadays, like a lot of us, they want to really wait until they're mature enough to have kids. We didn't think about it. We was something natural.
You were not in a hurry to have kids.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
I wasn't in a hurry to have kids because
I had to hurry it up.
To make a little story about it, the reason I didn't want to have that because I came from a very large family, as I told you at the beginning, and my goodness, have kids all the time in my house. And my mother and my father, they bothered me. My mother used to have these little beautiful little figurines, a little statues, and these kids, they come, they want to play with them, they break them and stuff, and I didn't like it, so I began to have this kind of reaction that I didn't have to have the kids. But no, after that, I was okay.
What was your favorite thing about being a parent? Do you have a favorite thing that you enjoyed the most of that you were a parent?
In my case, it's like holding you when you were little ones.
Yeah.
I think Conrad, it was really wonderful to hold him, and I used to play with him and carry him to the ceiling. And then when you came around, I used to do the same thing. And we had some pictures that were taken in the time, and it was fun for me to hold you guys, and it was really a wonderful feeling.
Yeah. What is one thing you would have done differently as a parent? Is there something you would have done differently if you were to go back?
Probably we should concentrate more into have different skills for you guys. And maybe because economically, probably, we weren't really poor or anything. We were making a living, but we could have done some differently. Like, for instance, send you to school to learn an instrument or something like that, or learn about sculpture or painting, or I don't know, something like that. Something different. I probably wish I would have done that.
Yeah. Do you remember, Mom, like, why did you decide to Pop was the one? Like, when he was courting you and you decided, okay, this is the person I want to be with. Do you remember what that reason was? Like, was something that changed out of everyone else that Pop stood out?
I really was excited about the whole idea of marrying a Mexican man and live in Mexico and learn Spanish. And
because that was the original plan. The original plan was for you to move to Mexico and live in Mexico.
Right.
So none of the family would have been here because we would have all been in Mexico, including myself. We'd all been there.
That's right.
But he loved it here. He didn't want to go back at all. He did not want to go back. He saw this is the land of plenty.
Yeah.
And it was.
But my favorite is you were the first one to take him to In-N-Out. burger.
That's right.
And this is a very interesting fact I think you're going to enjoy. In-N-Out Burger was the first time my dad ever had a shake, and it was the last time he ever had a shake.
That's right. That's right.
From In-N-Out Burger.
Shake was they're very thick.
Yeah.
But they now the double. My goodness, it's still going for it right now.
Yeah, still going for it. We're gonna go after. What about you, Pop? Do you remember why you wanted to be with Mom, and what was the thing that stood her apart from anyone else?
I think that when I decided to marry her is because she was very special. She was very kind, very loving person. To me, she was, well, she's still beautiful to me, but she was really beautiful. Of course, our age began to change us, obviously. You had now the wrinkles and the white hair and all that. But in the time, my goodness, I was really, why she was looking at me? Because it wasn't a match for her. She probably deserved somebody handsome and nice looking and nice, but she decided to marry me, and I was very happy about that.
Kind of going back to your parents, and that's why we're doing this, so we can have this for future generations. But is there anything you regret not asking your parents, like something that you wish you would have asked them, but you never had an opportunity to ask them? Obviously, Daddy George passed away when you were 12.
Right.
But is there anything you wish you could have asked him specifically?
Asked my father specifically?
Yeah. That you regret because you never had a chance to ask him.
No, it would have been when I would have grown up and would be faced with lots of things. It would be good to have a father to give me answers to that.
Yeah, some advice.
Yeah.
What about Mama Betty? Was there anything that you wish you could have asked her, but you didn't get a chance to ask her?
No, I don't think so. I loved my mom so much that I took care of her. I just felt I wanted to take care of her, and I had the chance to. I had her in her last days, as you know, and I was very happy to have her. I'm very happy. I remember when BB said, I think I can't handle Mom Betty. It's getting hard on us, and whatever. And as soon as the word came out of her mouth, I raised my hand. I said, "I'll take her."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was so happy that I had her with me, and I knew she would. I was pretty sure she would like it because she likes Spanish. She loved all the Mexican things, and the great. It was great for her that, and she didn't mind coming out there. Well, Janie was there too, but she didn't mind it. She right away. She
was
said,
easy to adjust wherever she was at. I never heard Mom Betty ever say a bad word.
Never.
But one time I heard her say a bad word.
Oh.
And it was a movie, I'm sure you don't remember, but it was called The Blair Witch Project. And I think a commercial or something came on, and she said, "That is a tub of shit." And I said, I just couldn't believe she said the word shit. And I was so shocked. And I think the other ones that used to make us laugh, do you remember when the TV would come on loud or something was happening on the TV and she was like, "Stop that! You stop that right now! You stop that!" Like she would talk to the TV for the actors to stop doing what they were doing.
Yes, exactly.
As if they could hear her. And she's like, "I'm sorry, dear." It's like, that just really got to me. That was one of the things that I really laughed at a lot.
Yeah.
Now, when you mentioned, you asked a question about what I should have asked my parents.
Yeah.
I was one of
Is there anything you regret that you didn't get a chance to ask
I
them?
never did. Actually, now it's coming to my mind that you mentioned that you asking that kind of question. But no, I don't recall anything that I should have asked them at the time. I think they were pleasant enough and educated enough to raise us up, and it was great.
Yeah. What
I did know is I knew his father really liked me. His mother, she was a little bit, But, I mean, she liked me, but his father loved me. I knew it.
What do you wish you made more time for in your life? Was there something that you wish you did more of or that you had more time to do?
Take my kids to the movies. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We only got to go to the library and get movies from the library because those were free. If it wasn't in the library, we weren't seeing it. Do you have something, Pop, that you wish you had more time for in your life? Something to do? I know you talked about playing an instrument, but was there anything else that you wish you had more time for?
Not really. I just, no, not really. I think I'm content in my life in general. I think in general my life is being okay. And not perfect, as always mentioned at the beginning, but I think I have received from God and friends and family and my neighbors and everybody a good sense of liking me, and I like them too, and I respect them, and they respect me too, and but I don't really regret anything about that.
Yeah, that's good. Is there something that you feel you missed out on because you had kids? Because obviously when you have kids, there's a lot of things you can't do. You can't go places, or, you get to be at home. But is there anything that you felt that you missed out on because you
No,
had kids?
I don't regret that at all because I had children later on than most women maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any regret there.
How about you, Pop? Is there anything that you feel you missed out on because you had kids?
No, not really. I think your mother was very close to you, and she always kept the eye open for you guys to be sure that you were safe and you eat enough, and you have all your needs fulfilled. And no, I never regret anything about that.
What challenges did you have as co-parenting? What challenges did you face as you had to work through, the two of you, because you had different visions and different ways you wanted to raise your children and different ways you thought you raised your children, because you had to do it together. So what challenges did you have to work through?
I think that, no, the only thing I probably would say, like any parents and any staff, like when you don't agree in certain way that you're raising your kids, never do it really in front of them. So let the father speaks up and says something to his kids, or the other way around, she does it, and you don't fight about, no, you're wrong, and in front of them, no, never. Yeah. You just talk to that lady, say, you know what, I think you were too bad, telling them what to do or what not to do, and if you have any discussion, you have to do it in private without your kids to listen to it, so they will respect you that way better.
Did you feel that, did you struggle with the decision to have kids? I know, Mom, you kind of talked about it, because I think you wanted to have kids earlier, right? So is that kind of a struggle to...
Oh yeah, he was putting me off, and I got, wait a minute, I didn't get kicked out on this. So I managed to
convince him.
Yeah,
somehow.
You could call it that, yes, and bingo, I got pregnant with Conrad.
Right.
And then when it was time for the second one to come along, and Sergio goes, I don't know, and you're Mr. No over here. He should know. He's no, not me. I said, well, I'll figure that out, and I did,
and some of that
he went along. It was fine.
Yeah, some of the things I really wanted. I don't know why, but I always had this in my mind. I always wanted to have kids, male kids, and when Conrad was about to come, I was really praying to God. At that time, I didn't know what gender they have, so I was really praying, please God, send me a little boy.
You bet,
a little boy. And when I saw that he was a boy, I was so happy about it. And then with the second one, Mikey came around, give me another boy. Another boy came around. Oh, I was so happy. And unfortunately, after that, your mother got pregnant again a few years later, and we lost that one. But he was a boy.
Oh, it was a boy?
He was a boy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was a boy.
Oh, it was a boy.
Yeah, and my sister Teresa, we were in Mexico City,
Yeah.
and my sister helped us to go through the whole thing, but he was a little boy.
It was a little boy.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we
It's
lost that
actually
one.
the first time I knew that.
Yeah.
It was 2 years after me?
Yeah, around 2.5 years, something like that, yes.
What do you love the most about yourself? Something that you love about
I'm
yourself?
good looking.
Marilyn Monroe. Just like Peter Dorsey said, Marilyn Monroe.
What do I like? I'm very easygoing. I'm very easy to live with. I'm very easy to please, and I don't cause problems. That's what's good about me.
What about you, Pop? What do you love
Well,
about yourself?
again, I have a good relationship with anybody I get in contact with. And that makes me happy because that makes you likable for most people. Of course, will be somebody there that probably they don't like you at all, they criticize you, but I think in my side, I think that most folks that I know, they kind of are nice to me and I'm nice to them. It's just easy that way. Life is easy in general. Sometimes I don't like myself, because I make mistakes and I don't like it. Even I criticize myself very strongly because when I do some stupidity, my goodness, I just can't stop, tell me bad things to myself.
Yeah. If you could have dinner with one person, just one that has passed away, who would it be? If you could have dinner with that person, anybody you want. Is there anyone specific that you'd want to have dinner with?
I think I'd like to have it with Lenny.
Lenny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would choose probably my mom.
Mom?
I love my brothers, especially my brother Jorge, and all of them, because they're all beautiful, wonderful siblings. But if I have a chance to have dinner with somebody, I think I would choose my mom to have dinner with her.
What's been the most difficult thing you've had to overcome? Something that you went through in your life that was very difficult that you had to overcome? Could be a number of things, but is there any specific thing that was very difficult?
I had to overcome?
I mean, obviously, Daddy George passed at 12 years old, which is probably difficult. Mama Betty passed, you lost a child.
Yeah.
Anything specific that you felt took longer to overcome?
I don't know that others.
Anything that was harder than something else? How about you?
I think
What Mom thinks?
things that very hurtful is, of course, when somebody passed away, and I know it's Mother Nature. It's a time designed by God that we have to go one time or another. The time will come for us to go. But I think it's a very difficult time to overcome. Even they make a decision to believe that no matter how far away that person was and is not here anymore, all of them, they live in my heart. They live with me in any time. I talk to my brother, I talk to my mom, I talk to my father, I talk to my brothers-in-law, I talk to anybody who has left before me, and I know they listen to me and they laugh with me, and we have conversations in my mind, obviously, and that's a good feeling.
Was there any specific one, though? Any specific one that you can remember that was the hardest out of all the ones that you've gone through? For you, Mom, do you remember anything harder than the other? Difficult?
Not really. I can't think of anything heartbreaking, especially.
For you, Pop, was there anything specific?
Well, yeah, I would say when my parents and my father and my mother passed, they have a good life. They were in their 90s when they passed away, and I was very grateful with God to let me enjoy my parents for most of my life. But recently, I guess, because I was many things I was told by my brother Jorge, and I miss him a lot. He hurt me a lot when he passed, and I couldn't believe it. And it hurt me. It still hurts me, of course, and of course all of them. But my brother was kind of a strong feeling because we experienced a lot of things together.
Yeah. What are some of your fears? Do you have any big fears or biggest fear? Anything you're kind of scared of?
Back to your question, I remembered something that I was sad about.
Yeah.
Was that the question?
Yeah.
It was sad
Something
that
difficult
I
to
lost that last little baby in Mexico. We were in Mexico, and his sister, worked with that kind of stuff anyway. So I was in good hands, but it came out of me. It was a whole body. It was whole.
So it was formed.
It was formed. And it was a little boy.
Wow.
And he died. I don't know why. He was perfect. I don't know why he died.
How big was he? Like
It was just
palm of your hand?
just a little tiny thing, yeah.
This in the hand you could put in your hand. And my sister helped us with that because she was working as a nurse, and I said, "Sister, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do." She said, "Well, don't worry about it. I take care of it." And she did. I don't know. She said, "Don't tell me what you're gonna do with it. Don't tell me."
Yeah.
So she didn't tell us, but disappeared.
Yeah, but then I wanted so badly to have another one, and another one didn't come. It didn't come.
If you were to, this is off topic, but if you were to give that boy a name, and you could pick any name you wanted, what name would you have picked for that boy?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, I never thought about it.
Did you ever think of a secondary name? I mean, once you saw that it was a boy, that
No, I just didn't think. I didn't think about that.
In my case, my full name is my full name the Mexican way. My name is Sergio Antonio Aaron Negrete. That's my full name. And somebody in the past told me, if you have kids one day, try to give them their own name.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted them to have part of my name too. So
you cheated?
Yeah. So no, I didn't cheat it, but I thought about it. So we decided to go with Conrad. I like the kind of the sound when we mentioned Conrad, and I kind of like it. But I put my first name as a second for him, so I named him Conrad Sergio Haro. This is me. I have my first name, and when I had Michael, my son, I said Michael Anthony because my second name is Antonio. It's Anthony.
Yeah.
So thank you. So that my two kids, they have my name in the middle.
I think it's funny. Do you remember, Mom, the movie Twins? Do you remember that? Do you remember that movie, Pop? Twins. With Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito? Do you remember that movie? So I like to tell people that sometimes I feel like we're the movie Twins because there's a scene in the movie, because Conrad's name is Conrad and I'm Michael, and Conrad's not a common name at all. Right. And Michael, everybody knows a Michael. I mean, these guys know a Michael, these guys, everyone knows a Michael or a Mike, right? So I used to tell people, I said, sometimes I feel like the movie Twins, because there was a scene in that movie where Arnold Schwarzenegger is very strong, and he's very tall, and he's very handsome, and he's very smart, and he has everything. And Danny DeVito is this little chaparrito guy, and he's like this fat, tubby guy. And so they go to the doctors, and they realize that they took the best of 7 doctors, and they took that sperm, and they put it into the mom, and the doctor tells Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger, said, well, all the brains and the smarts and all the good stuff went into you, which was Arnold Schwarzenegger, and all the shit left over went into you. So sometimes I say that's sometimes like what I feel like, because you put a lot of thought with Conrad and then Michael. So, but it's okay.
Some of the stories about Michael.
Yeah, that was a mistake because there were so many Michaels in the world.
I
have a Michael brother. You have a Michael. Everybody's got a Michael.
And to make an addition to the Michael, the story, after you were born, there was this group of mothers. They were getting together to see how to feed the babies and to do this and advice from one to each other and stuff, things that they learned from their mothers and stuff. And Nony took you when you were little, maybe a few months old. And with the rest of the mothers, there were like 8 mothers, with the little kids joining this particular group to give advice to each other. And I think what was probably 4 or 5 of them, they were Michaels, including you. So now I know there's a lot of Michaels, but I still like it. I like Mike, I like Michael,
yeah,
I like it.
You're a nice Michael.
When we were naming our children, Noah and Mia, I really wanted them to have a different name, kind of like you said, Pop. And I love that in our entire family, you come from 13, from 7, there's not a single Noah, and there's not a single Mia.
That's right.
We're the only 2. And in Jackie's side of the family, there's no Noahs and there's no Mias. It's just us. We're the only ones.
We're still learning. Every day we learn something.
I still like that.
Yeah.
If you could give me and Conrad a piece of advice, what would that be? What would you want to give me and Conrad some advice?
At this point in your life?
Yeah, I mean, is there anything that advice you would want to pass on to us?
I know what to say. Do you think about anything?
I don't have any advice for you. I think you guys are wonderful boys. I'm so proud of you. I just admire you, both of you, so much. You use your talents wisely, and you use your money wisely, and you've chosen nice wives. I have nothing more to add to that. You have it all, seems to me.
To me, I would say probably some of these I will advise you and your brother, which I have done in the past, but I said if you, at one point you were upset for whatever the reason, and you recognize that you were wrong, express it out and tell your companion, in this case your wife or something, you know what, I said this, I'm very sorry, I was wrong, and it was stupid of me saying what I said, and I regret, and I want to ask you for forgiveness.
Okay.
To recognize it.
Is there anything that you wanted to ask me but you never had a chance, that you wanted to ask me on anything?
No.
No. I mean, you could say you were awesome, you were great. But is there any like thing that specific that you wanted to say, to ask me?
In my case, I would say that I always recognize the two of you, and you're different. Obviously, you're different people, different persons, but you have a lot of similarities. You're very kind. You're very kind, very beautiful people in general.
Yeah, I'm very proud of my boys.
I'm really happy about that situation.
Me too. Very happy.
It's very, very special.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, I just wanted to
Tell us something.
To thank you guys both, because as a child, you don't realize the sacrifice that your parents do for you. And someone told me that to become a good son, when you become a good son, when you become a good father, how do I say this? The day you become a good son is the day you become a father.
Oh.
And you realize the sacrifice that your parents went through. And I just wanted to thank you for everything that you did for me and for Conrad. And I want to ask you to forgive me for if I ever hurt you in any way, because sometimes it's tough that we say things as children that we don't realize that hurt our parents, and you hurt them, and you don't do it deliberately, but you hurt them in that time. And I want to ask for your forgiveness if there's anything that I did do, because obviously I did do things as I grew up, but I wanted to thank you for always sacrificing for me and never realizing, buying me some shoes or something to eat, and I took it for granted. But I wanted to thank you for doing that, because we don't realize, and unfortunately the day's coming for all of us, and it's going to be very difficult, but I want you to know that I love you a lot, and you're very important in my life, and I want to thank you for
You don't
the
have
things
any plans, do you?
No, the things that you've done for me and the sacrifices you've made, and I want to thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Because I hope people learn from this experience and to do this for their own parents. And because the truth is, we don't know when that day is coming.
Right.
But I want to tell you that I love you, that I cherish you, that I admire you, and I appreciate all the advice that you've given me and all the sacrifices that you've made that were not easy.
Yeah.
As well as for Conrad.
It was wonderful.
And I guess what this is going to be shared to when I'm gone and when my kids are gone and their kids are gone and their kids are gone, but people won't know who are, but they're going to be our bloodline. You know? So I guess the one last thing I want to ask you guys is, what is...
Just to continue with what you said, just finish saying, and it's very short. I don't recall any moment, and this is the truth, this is really the real truth. I don't recall any time that you offended us, Conrad or you. I don't recall any time in which you say something really nasty or wrong or whatever. I don't recall, I don't have anything in my mind to remember something that was offensive from you to us. I don't recall nothing.
Me too.
What's the wish you have for your grandchildren, and their children, and what's something that you can pass on to them, because they're all still little, Landon and Noah and Mia, but what's a wish that you have for them?
Well, I guess ask God to give us a chance to continue in this life, until He decides to take us, and if they grow old enough to be more mature than they are right now, to share with them the best we can, and tell them the stories that probably they never heard about it or something, and continue wishing the best for their lives.
Okay, so with that, I want to thank you guys. That's the last of the questions. This took a lot to put together.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work, but I'm glad we have it, because the important thing is we'll be able to share this with not just the current family now, but all the future families of our bloodline that continues to grow. And they're going to see this, and even bloodline of ours that we'll never meet, your great grandchildren, their children, this is something that we'll be able to have forever.
And also, yes, I make it add up also, like, I want to thank you, these professionals that are recording this, and I thank you, all of you, taking the time and your expertise to put this together, and I really thank you, appreciate it, because I know it's a lot of work, and I just thank you very much for all your efforts and to do the best you can for all of us.
Yeah. Okay, I love you, Mom.
I love you too. Oh, you're a wonderful boy and a wonderful man. And you're a wonderful father.
Thank you.
Wonderful husband. And I hope your wife always appreciates you.
For the last one, blessings to everybody. Blessings to everybody. Everybody.
Blessings to everybody. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.